Primal Nemesis, Ark Survival Ascendant's most insane overhaul mod. Look at this. This is a volcanic Rex that can shoot fireballs out of its mouth. Like this right here. This is a penguin that has questionable hygiene issues, but behold this beauty. This is a majestic celestial Pegasus. Even if it sneezes, it will rain down angelic meteors on your head. I have 100 days to complete and beat this entire mod. This means I must progress through all 7 tiers of creatures by defeating all 11 bosses, including the final boss, Nemesis. Can we complete this challenge? Let's find out. Welcome to my 100 days in Primal Nemesis.
Welcome homies and homettes to another ARK modded adventure. We are playing on the modded map, Amissa. As soon as we had fully spawned in, we were met by another player.
Hey, there's someone right next to me. There we go. What's up, brother?
And yes, I'm playing on a server that I host with a bunch of my community. Next, I immediately run around the bushes picking up some fiber and some berries, then go and punch some trees for some immediate thatch and wood, and proceed to make our first tool, the stone pick. Now, even though Primal Nemesis is considered a pretty crazy mod, we spawned in Nemesis City, which is considered pretty safe. But as soon as we leave, we realize how dangerous this mod really is.
Oh, shit. There's someone else getting chased by a dodo.
Thanks to somebody else offering themselves up as a sacrificial lamb, we escaped with our lives. In some of these overhaul mods, you can't tell which is a safe dinosaur and which isn't, so we just avoided everything. Back in Nemesis City, we found a sleeping body. Now, I couldn't let my intrusive thoughts win, so I had to run away. But as I was searching through my engrams, the sleeper woke up. Oh, hey there. Gobble, gobble, gobble. The intrusive thoughts won. Anyways, moving on, we made a stone hatchet and a reusable spear. We then stumbled upon this dark-skinned moss chops, which I knew would be perfect for our first tame. So I fed it some berries and it became ours. Now, because of its short stature and its dark complexion, I had the perfect name for this guy.
We have to name him Kevin Hart because he's short and black.
What?
Rather fitting name if you ask me. I saw a few other players in the distance, so I went to go greet them, even with all the craziness happening behind me. From here, I decided to make my new tribe and alliance, both of which we aptly named Dodo Gang. The community seemed to really be liking these hoodies, so I think we're going to expand on the Dodo Gang range a little more. Keep a lookout in the future. I then went ahead and added all of these hunky men to the alliance, but then I saw a rather large crab in the distance and had to go investigate.
Run.
It seems as though Pineapples has drawn the attention of this big crab over to us.
Holy crap. He punched it.
Oh no, Kevin Hart! Kevin Hart, run!
Help
Kevin
me!
Hart, run!
Help
Kevin Hart,
me!
Kevin Hart got destroyed.
So that was it for Kevin Hart. His life was short, and so was he. With everything else murdered in this vicinity, the crab then focused on me. Next, I decided to spawn in a different location, this time in the desert city. We've played the Amissa map a few times in these 100 days, and I decided to do something a little bit different in this playthrough. Instead of having our start in Amissa City, I figured we'll have our start in the desert city this time. This could either go really well or really, really bad. We managed to get enough resources together to make some basic tools and another spear. Next, I needed to try and get myself some hide. We found another Kevin Hart lookalike, but this one had to die.
Come on, I just need some hide, bro.
I was trying to kill it, but then a frost wyvern came out of nowhere.
Ah, shoot. Okay, we're good. We're good. You can keep your hide.
It did not seem like we were going to acquire some hide from that moss chops. I heard a massive explosion and saw the wyverns were still flying around locally, but the moss chops had survived, which gave us the opportunity to be able to take this guy down so we can skin him for his valuable hide.
Yeah. Thank you.
We then ran into our next major problem. This arid desert is freezing cold, and because of these extremely low temperatures in the desert, it caused us to die. Thankfully, this is a respawn location, so we don't have to worry about it too much. And the only way to counter this issue currently is to increase our fortitude levels. We get some early easy cheesy levels by crafting a bunch of chibis. Also, I think I was getting stream sniped at this point. We had a few people come over because they wanted to join the alliance. Boom! Scared ya. Not really, but I'm glad I have your attention now. You're gonna love this, trust me. Because today's sponsor is a game that I'm sure you're gonna enjoy. If Sunsets. If Sunsets is a survival RPG game, which is a somewhat peaceful game during the daytime, but at night you're relentlessly hunted down by hordes of the undead. This is a survival RPG mixed with a sprinkle of tower defense, zombies, pirates, and some fantasy creatures. Explore the vast open world and uncover its secrets. Build your very own custom fortress to help protect you at night from the impending threats and battle your way through cursed beasts and various bosses of this forsaken land. Collect resources so you can enhance your armor and weapons to make life in this world a little bit easier. Enjoy the rays of the sun, because as soon as that sun sets, the real challenge begins. If Sunsets is available right now on Steam. So go ahead and use my link in the description below and try this game out now. And enjoy 10% off. Offer valid until November 18th, 10 AM Pacific Standard Time. Thank you If Sunsets for sponsoring this video. Oh crap, is it becoming night? night time now? Day 2, and before we die, I decided to place down a base. The only issue we have is we can't place a base in this area. It seems like this whole area is a build free zone. I run around with this foundation trying to find where exactly I can build, and the only place that I can build is quite the distance away. And because there's so many dangerous creatures in this mod, I want to make sure that me and the community have somewhere safe to build, at least whilst we start. Thankfully, I'm the server owner, and I could just adjust some settings to make it so that we could build inside the desert city. Inside these impenetrable walls, we should be safe enough to be able to get a good start in this playthrough. So with this, we placed down a bunch of foundations, a storage box to store all of our goods, a campfire to cook us some food and to keep us warm, then this refining forge to start cooking up a bit of metal. Next, I decided to go out on the hunt to try and find a metal node. The one thing I like about the desert is you can see quite a distance away. I'm pretty sure there's metal in this direction, but I had to try and make it there safely. We made it over to this resource-rich area, collected some crystal. Then we started chipping away at this metal rock and noticed that there's different types of metal that we're gathering. In Primal Nemesis, there's other types of metal, which we use to be able to craft other types of items that are exclusive to this mod. I'll explain exactly how that works a little bit later as we have to use them. But for now, we slowly made it back to base and started smelting up all of this metal that we had gathered. After a little while, a bit of metal was cooked up. I could then go ahead and make this smithy. Before I could craft anything worthwhile out of the smithy, I needed to go gather some more hide. Since we're out in the desert, we found the perfect victim.
Ah, Jaboa. Sorry, mate, but you guys make good hide.
I swear Ark is the one game that unaliving cute little animals is just normal. Like, they're even cute when they want to eat you for dinner. We managed to take out 2 Jaboas and this Kevin Hart lookalike and secured a whole bunch of hide. We then arrived back at our cute little starter base location, where ideally I wanted to make this metal multi-tool, which I don't have enough metal ingots for. So instead, I made this metal pickaxe. This will help us get enough metal so we can make the metal multi-tool later. Day 3, we head back over to the previous explored location to try and find some more metal nodes. Some of the metal hadn't respawned yet, but we were able to find this metal node nestled amongst these other rocks. Now, since we're using a metal pickaxe, we gathered significantly more metal than we did previously. But as you can tell, right now, we're overheating and we're about to die. We're already walking slow, and I'm sure we're not going to make it back to base. I respawned back in the desert city and began running back over to collect my dead body.
Who's running around in Mickey Mouse outfit?
That is cursed. Never trust a man in a black and white Mickey Mouse outfit. You never know who's behind the mask. Anyways, we managed to get back to my body and collect everything that we had on it and brought the metal back to start smelting up in our forge. We then got a little visit from the creepy Mickey Mouse. I felt pressured to add him to the alliance. Even though I have my own custom chibis, 2 of them, I always forget to put them on. Here's Evo, my gangster trike. I then went ahead and crafted these modded items. The Primal Spear, which I'm pretty sure does torpor damage to anything that it hits. Then we crafted the Primal Cauldron and the Primal Bench, which we need to be able to craft a bunch of these modded items. I'm definitely going to need a lot more space to be able to place down some of these crafting benches, so we expanded our little starter base with these stone foundations. I could then place down this Primal Bench and the Primal Cauldron. The Primal Cauldron kind of works like a mortar and pestle. It's where we can craft a bunch of narcotics, health potions, and even some of the vanilla items like spark powder and narcotics. I then got a visit from my boy Ben Down Under, and he brought me a little gift.
Oh, wait. You got the soul for Kevin Hart. That's sick.
Now all we need to do is tame ourselves an Oasis and bring him back to life. We only have 24 hours to be able to do this before Kevin Hart's soul disappears. I then crafted and made the Primal Forge. This is what we used to be able to craft a bunch of these new metals that are only a part of the Primal Nemesis mod. Next, I equipped this Primal Spear and went on out to go and try and hunt something down. Kind of wanted to see exactly how this worked. I know this is risky, but we tried it against this alpha monkey. I suspected that this was going to be a little bit difficult, but because the thing was so fast, all it did was just run around us and keep missing its shots.
Go down. Whatever's happening, just take the L, bro. Take the L, bro. Surely I'm dealing torpor or something.
As long as we kept strafing left or right, we managed to avoid all of its hits. We were trying hard to take this thing down, then a friend came past and tried to help out. Even with this, our primitive spears didn't seem to do much.
Take the L, bro. Take the L, bro. It's almost surely down.
I also thought we were going to do a lot more torpor and maybe could have knocked it out. That wasn't the case. And with this, we managed to score ourselves some alpha hide and some alpha blood, which hopefully we can use to be able to craft some of these modded items. I realized we had enough resources to be able to make ourselves this awesome spyglass. This should help us out in the wilds determine what we can kill and what we can't. We left the desert city only to find someone getting munched on by a couple Morellatops.
Oh no. I was going to help, but you're dead.
Day 4 starts with us trying to take down this parasaur. It's really fast and we failed. So I tried again against this level 20, thinking I could take this down fast enough, but it also ran away. As I was heading back to base, I noticed someone was building a little cute hut nearby.
Look at all these people building cute little bases.
This is going to be hilarious when a demonic wyvern spawns right down there, comes up here and eats your base in one bite. Knowing that if I want to progress, I'm going to need to be able to traverse around this map a little easier than we currently are. I want to make one of these reusable grapples, but it looks like I need cementing paste in order to make one. Thankfully, these little water jug bugs are pretty easy to kill, and when we harvest them, they give us chitin that if we mix with stone and place in the primal cauldron, we can then make cementing paste. waste, which gives us all the required ingredients to make this reusable grapple hook. I also crafted this reusable parachute as well. The grapple paired with the parachute makes a great early game way to traverse the map somewhat safely. That's assuming we can avoid deadly things like the Celestial Phoenix. My goal was to head over to this little mountain ridge here, because I know if I can get up on top of this, there would be a whole bunch of metal that we can go and farm. Obviously, I had to try and avoid these saber-tooths. Thankfully, my thousands of hours playing this game got me out of trouble, but also into trouble once again.
Oh, he juked him. He juked him.
We're really here just trying to gather as much metal that we could hold, but sometimes I hear some noises and they really freak me out.
What is that?
I really didn't want to stick around and find out what was happening. It was time for us to leave and get this loot back to base. I do think we made the right decision in building in this place. There's so many crazy creatures around that everything can kind of one-tap us and destroy our base. But also, now we're crafting up a whole bunch of metal. This is what we call progress. Back out in the wild world to try and take down creatures. Really, I'm just bullying creatures I know I can kill easily. Except this monkey wasn't having none of that. Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. I just need some... Ziggy zag.
I didn't even know how I aggroed this monkey. Maybe I accidentally hit it. Anyways, I tried to make a swift escape, but when I realized I wasn't having much luck, I had to turn and fight. Thankfully, with the awesome spyglass, we could track how much damage we were doing, which kind of made this a little less anxiety inducing.
Ooh, what is that? We got a lucky charm?
Yeah, some of the modded creatures drop extra loot. This particular charm gives us protection against heat, which we don't have to worry about anymore since I have adjusted some of the server settings to increase how much fortitude we can get for each level. The server being so cold and so hot was just annoying and unnecessary. We got bigger things to worry about in this playthrough, like the fact that it's 4 days in and we haven't tamed anything except Kevin Hart, but he's dead. But since we had killed a couple alpha creatures and gathered some blood, we made some alpha narcotics that we could then use to make the single alpha trank arrow. Also, we finally made this metal multi-tool, which, if you're unfamiliar on what exactly this is, it's every tool in one. It's now day 5 and I'm determined to tame something today. Ideally, it'd be something that we could fly on. Maybe something like this Lymantria. A Pteranodon would be nice, but they don't really spawn too close by to us. I then came across this level 50 Apex Listro. Knowing that this was pretty weak, but also has a chance to give us some Apex blood, I decided to try and kill it. We were doing quite a bit of damage to it. That was until it got this damage and armor buff. You see, alpha creatures give a buff to any creature nearby. This can be quite the pain in the butt unless we tame an alpha dino and then it becomes an advantage to us. After throwing many of these spears at its face, we managed to take this guy down.
There we go. You're dead. Thank you. Come again.
And we harvested quite a bit of blood from it as well. With this Apex blood, I took it back to base where I could make 4 Apex narcotics that I could then turn into 2 Apex trank arrows.
This should knock some stuff out.
Now that we have a few strong trank arrows, it's time for us to go and tame something, finally. Which is easier said than done, because there's scary creatures all over this land. I was told that if I head in this general direction, we will find ourselves some pteranodons.
Damn, I see PTs as well.
Knowing very well that if we could hit the skies, we should make a significant jump in our progress. I really didn't care what level creature we got, we just needed something for now. One shot and we managed to take down this level 55 pteranodon. But of course, Ark was not going to give us an easy tame. As I was taking down this oil jug bug, I heard a noise I did not want to hear.
Oh shoot. What was that? Terror bird.
This terror bird was attacking our pteranodon. Unfortunately, we weren't doing enough damage to be able to take this thing out, and the pteranodon died. I managed to escape before the terror bird started aiming towards us. I was mostly annoyed that we wasted one of these expensive trank arrows, not really the fact that we just lost this pteranodon. Still out in the desert, we got hunted down by this thorny dragon. This is one of those defining moments where I had to prove myself as the apex predator. Doing my best to survive this onslaught, I had to hide behind some of these rocks to avoid getting hit by its spiky thorns.
Run away. Oh, he's not a runner? Shoot.
I thought I managed to get its health low enough that it would start running away, but this thing was determined to kill me. Luckily for us, we got the win in the end. Feeling quite invincible, I started heading back to base.
Ah, yeah. What was that? Oh, bro, you scared the...
Yeah. Sabertooth got me in the end. As we spawned back in, we were reminded that this is Primal Nemesis and shit's about to get real.
No way. Who brought the demonic wyvern in here, dude?
I have a sneaking suspicion that somebody kited this wyvern into the desert city. This was definitely going to be quite an issue. At this point though, there was really nothing I could do. So I decided to head back to my body so I could collect all of my stuff. Only for some of it to get stolen by this pego. Welcome to frickin' Ark. As we arrived back to the desert city, we saw the wyvern had escaped and is flying above it. I think this is a good thing. I don't know. It didn't seem to be inside the desert city, so that's promising, I guess. Next, I crafted this personal gravestone. This way, if we lose all of our inventory while we're out exploring, we can at least get it back. For circumstances exactly like this.
Did I just see a tail? 8,000 damage? Who just got wrecked?
Oh, for fuck's sake. This is definitely going to be a very interesting 100 days. Back out in the desert, I saw a yellow drop with a ring around it. Knowing very well that this could hold some very valuable items, I had to go and get it, even with this demonic wyvern nearby. But as I approached it,
I'm not a high enough level! Ah! Oh, well, I'll take the free crap.
On the upside, we got some free alpha blood and hide because of the demonic wyvern. Day 6, I started picking some berries from the bushes around the desert city. This was so I could make some normal narcotics that I could eventually turn into alpha narcotics because of the extra blood we just scored, then make a bunch more of these alpha tranks. Next, we went back out to the desert in hopes to finally tame something worthwhile. I spotted this purple drop in the distance, and it had some pretty decent gear inside it. Now, I was a high enough level to go and collect it, so I wanted to go get it. I knew this would be risky because of this demonic parasaur, causing all the destruction around this area, but surely it's not close enough to hit us, right? Nope. I was wrong. I have a strange feeling we're going to use this gravestone quite a lot. Next, I decided to go back out to the desert, but this time by jumping over the back wall of the castle. It was at this moment we got extremely lucky. I had noticed something in the distance right there.
PogChamp resource over there, chat. PogChamp resource over there, chat. There's a dead whatever celestial, whatever this is.
This will give us extremely rare and valuable celestial hide and blood. It probably died to this big thing.
Oh, yeah. GG's. Oh, man.
Thank God for the cheated gravestone. With the celestial blood that we had harvested, we could then make the celestial narcotics. It's definitely way too early for us to be able to use this right now, so we'll hold on to the celestial blood until we need it. We still need to get out there and get ourselves a flying creature.
I know I'm getting chased right now. I knew it! I knew it! I knew it! I had a saber tooth on my butt.
That's assuming that I could get to a pteranodon before I die multiple times to a whole bunch of different things.
Great, look at that. Oh, yeah.
With so many dangerous creatures around, I had to come up with a different idea to be able to get ourselves out and find a pteranodon. That's when I came up with a pretty ingenious idea.
We out, son.
Primal Nemesis has a pretty fast boat that you can build, and this should keep us safe. I hope. Pteranodons typically spawn near coastal areas, and as far as I know, there shouldn't be anything dangerous in the oceans. I then came to this supply drop and saw that there was an ascendant crossbow in it. I went to go get it.
You see that, chat? Bro, that's a game changer in itself. Worth it. Worth me dying right now.
I didn't get it, and I think I broke something in my house. Day 7, and I'm still pretty confident with this raft idea. Well, that was until we saw a demonic wyvern flying over the water, right in our path.
Why does it need to be on the water, bro? There's literally nothing out here.
I tried my best to swiftly get around this wyvern without getting attacked. By some miracle, we made it out alive and found ourselves along the coast of this redwood/aberration area. And it was here that we found ourselves a pteranodon. I took aim, but I saw a terror bird, and I knew I needed to get my butt out of there.
Damn, that was a 140 PT, bro.
We missed out on that one, but that's okay. There's plenty more around. We followed the coastline down a little bit further and found this PT flying over the ocean. I throw one of these boulders at it. This then makes it drop down to the top of the water, which gives me the opportunity to shoot it and knock it out. I dove straight into the water and fed it some of this prime meat. Now we just gotta hope that it doesn't drown. From here, I just wait patiently and hope that nothing comes to kill us or the pteranodon. I then notice the pteranodon's health is rapidly declining. It only needs to eat one prime meat and it'll be fully tamed. We got pretty lucky with that one. To completely secure this pteranodon, I put it away in one of these soul balls. On our way back to base, we encountered this large creature. I got curious, so I went to approach it. Well, that was until my chat warned me not to.
It will kill you. It has a huge area attack.
Well, at least we got back to base quickly and retrieved all of our stuff, including our brand new pteranodon, which I immediately got out, placed this pteranodon saddle on it, and took off into the skies. In basically every ARK playthrough, hitting the skies is a massive game changer. But in Primal Nemesis, it really made a big difference. Only thing is, sometimes I forgot about a pretty important thing. Stamina.
Possibly the worst place we can possibly go down at.
It's okay though, I came up with a pretty smart play. First, I'd jump off the PT, I'd parachute, let the PT regain its stamina, and I'll try and jump back on it. Only thing is, this didn't really work. So instead, I placed it back in one of the soul balls and escaped.
I don't know, but the ARK gods blessed us with that. Bro, my butthole is puckered so tight right now, it is ridiculous.
Once I found a pretty safe location, I got the PT back out and we continued flying on. This time, remembering to rest for stamina. Next, I wanted to find our forever base location. And honestly, in this mod, these floating islands might work. In previous playthroughs, we couldn't build on these islands because they weren't completed. But also, since we're playing Primal Nemesis and big scary creatures spawn in that can fly, it's probably safer to be up high. I had a look at all of the islands and then I settled on this particular one. I landed on it, started chopping down a bunch of trees, and harvested a bunch of stone so that I could place down these foundations and claim this place as mine. I wouldn't call this place home just yet, but we do have a large storage box. Day 8, whilst we were out and about flying around, we found this cave drop, except it wasn't in a cave, it was outside. And once again, I wasn't a high enough level to be able to open it. We discovered that flying around on this low-level pteranodon was starting to be quite risky, as stamina was becoming an issue.
What the frick is that? What is happening down there? A trike? Oh, I want it.
That amazing specimen is a godly trike, which is currently the highest tier creature that you can tame. On top of this mountain peak, we found this alpha Dilo. And since it was only a level 15, I took this opportunity to collect myself some more alpha blood so we can make some more alpha narcotics. Next, I went down to the coastline, found this female dodo and kidnapped it, brought it to this peaceful ledge nearby and beat its head into the ground. Consensually, of course. We had now tamed ourselves this dodo.
All right, we're going to go steal your kids.
Taking some inspiration out of Dr. Disrespect's handbook, I returned back to the coastline to go and steal the dodo's kids. Unfortunately, the dodo authority was there quicker than the Twitch banhammer was. When I respawned, there was a random female waiting for me at my base. Not really, I think she just went AFK or something. Next, I made this depot terminal. This is part of the Dino Depot mod. Basically, it's just a place that I can store my dinos while they're in their soul balls, and hopefully this dodo can passively produce me some eggs.
Make me eggs.
I saw this frost wyvern flying around near our base, which inspired me to go beat up this woman. Now, I don't condone this in real life, but I was kind of worried that she might kite this wyvern to our base. Whilst we wait for the dodo to lay us some eggs so we can progress to the alpha tier, I took flight to go out and do some more exploring. And whilst we were out, we found this level 130 Pteranodon. I already knew this would be significantly better than the one that we're currently riding, and this area was kind of peaceful. So I wrapped some string around its ankles, made it fall to the ground, and shot it in the face. Now, folks, if you're ever struggling to make friends, this is exactly how you do it. Because after all of that violence, this Pteranodon will now do anything that we desire. Also, it's reassuring knowing that we have a spare backup flyer for whenever we need. Next, I flew to the top of this mountain with the pink forest on it. Because if you find these little plots of land, this is where you can find veggies like rock carrot, long grass, and savaroot. But we didn't pick it up right now because we don't need it. I then began heading back to base, but then I made a critical mistake. Once again, I ran out of stamina.
I didn't realize I didn't get stam.
I tried my best to pull off a tricky maneuver by dismounting and trying to secure the Pteranodon in the soul ball.
Come on, buddy. Follow me, buddy. Why are you not following me? That's why. How did I not die straight away?
Welcome to Primal Nemesis, when a simple mistake can have grave consequences.
My PT died as well.
Day 9 and we already lost our best PT. I really need to start taming some stuff to help us progress in this playthrough. So with that, I want to try and get myself some more alpha blood, which I kind of thought I was going to be able to get from this alpha parasaur. I overestimated my own abilities.
Oh, he's chasing me. You're going to be chasing me in like 4 seconds.
I couldn't kill this guy fast enough, but then I remembered I had a grapple hook. Now normally a parasaur wouldn't chase you down and want to murder you, but this is an alpha variant and it definitely wants to kill us. This kind of worked in our favor though, because it stayed aggroed on me long enough for me to be able to take it out and collect that juicy alpha blood. Before I could fly again, I needed to make myself another Pteranodon saddle. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough hide, so we returned back to the desert to do some more Jerboa hunting, where I just so happened to secure a bunch of hide from these Jerboas, but I also noticed an orphaned Morellatops.
Baby Morellatops that I can claim? Oh, yes!
As you can tell, I was just about as excited as Diddy in Disneyland. Next, I crafted up some Apex Trank Darts and some of this Alpha Cloth Armor. Then I crafted an Alpha PT Saddle. Since I had already crafted some Alpha Kibble, it's time for us to go and try and tame ourselves an Alpha Pteranodon. We just need to find the perfect one, which is easier said than done. We spent quite a while out in the wilds trying to find one, whilst trying to avoid crazy dangerous creatures. It wasn't the most ideal level, but this level 50 Alpha Pteranodon is going to have to do for now. At the end of the day, it's got better stats than our current vanilla one. We took it out of the skies with a bowler.
That's gonna hit. That's gonna hit. That's gonna hit.
Got him. And knocked it out with some of these modded trank arrows. I fed it a single alpha kibble and it basically tamed up immediately. Thankfully, I already had the alpha Pteranodon saddle and we could hit the skies on the back of this red bird immediately. Straight off the rip, I could already tell that this was significantly better than our vanilla Pteranodon, purely based on the fact that its stamina lasts way longer. This Pteranodon lasts longer and stronger than Johnny Sins does in any one of his films. Day 10, we arrived back at base on our newly acquired alpha Pteranodon with the full intention to begin our move to our new base location. So I spend a bit of time just emptying out all of our crafting benches and taking all the essential items, then packing up the crafting benches themselves and head on back out to go set up our new base on top of this floating island. Once we landed at this scuffed little foundation platform thing, I began placing down some of the important items that we had. I quickly realized that space was going to be an issue, so I placed down a bunch more foundation platforms to kind of even the space out a bit. This way all of our crafting benches and stations would fit in here quite nicely. I then spent the next little while stocking up on a bunch of resources, specifically metal. You go through so much metal in this mod that it's important to always have the Primal Forge working. I realized to craft some of this modded metal, I need obsidian. Luckily, there's a whole heap nearby. With the resources that we just gathered, we should keep the Primal Forge busy for at least a while. Next, I crafted a Primal Bed. Quite often, I forget to place these down. I'm glad I didn't this time, because if we died, we don't really have a way to get back up here. Next, I went and retrieved the orphaned Morellatops and noticed that it was fully grown up. I put a saddle on the back of it and then went out to go collect some berries, because I'm pretty sure these are a pretty decent berry gatherer. I mean, it's not amazing, but it's still better than us picking these berries by hand. And at least this way, we can gather enough berries to at least get started making a whole bunch of narcotics so we can start taming some powerful creatures, which we plan on doing really soon. We head on back out to the coastline that we tamed that dodo earlier so I could try and hunt down a female alpha dodo. I managed to knock this one out, feed it some alpha kibble, and tame it. This might be a little bit exploitative, but I wanted a fast way to get back to base.
Yeah, I'll show you guys a quick way to get home. Like that.
We got our stuff back from the personal gravestone, and then I placed the alpha dodo in the terminal so it could produce us some alpha eggs. Day 11, we woke up in our base covered in fog. I can't play like this, so I had to get rid of it. I then checked the depot terminal to see if we had any eggs, and we had quite a few. Between day 10 and 11, I'd logged off for the night and returned to this. I then took flight on our alpha pteranodon to go and collect some more metal to make sure that we kept this forge running. I then went out to go and do some more exploring and maybe see if we could find any other alpha or apex creatures that we could tame. It helped quite a lot that this alpha pteranodon has significantly more stamina than our vanilla counterpart. This way we got to travel around for longer periods of time and got to avoid some of the scary creatures like the demonic wyverns. We returned back to base empty-handed. There wasn't really much out there to see. But whilst I was doing some things around my base, I heard a weird noise.
What the crap was that? And why did I hear it near my base?
Yeah, that.
What is that hitting? How did that tree get hit? Someone's here trolling, bro.
At this time, I thought there was someone from the community just trolling me. But then I saw this. I went to go investigate whatever the heck this is.
All right, someone's trolling for sure.
What? It seems as though there's some celestial creature just shooting meteors down at me. I thought we were safe up on these floating islands, but I guess not. The most annoying thing is we lost our alpha pteranodon as well, but maybe we could tame ourselves an apex creature. There's only a few ingredients that we're missing, and most of the stuff's pretty easy to get. Like the veggies that we require are just over here, which would give us enough to make a bunch of alpha kibble, but we just need some citronal and some prime meat to be able to make the apex kibble. Now we can't find citronal in the pink forest, but I do know a place that we can find citronal. On this island right here that I've named Pirate Island, because there's like pirate ships and stuff out here, but also more farm plots, and one of these farm plots holds citronal. I now just need to find a way to get ourselves some prime meat. I don't have a super strong creature right now, so I have to be creative on how we get that. I managed to see something dead down here. I swooped in, attacked, and scored some prime meat. I then saw this Rex fighting down here.
I saw a Rex. What type of Rex was fighting down there?
And thought maybe I could steal its kill. I haven't really been making the best decisions lately. Yes, if you haven't realized, we no longer have any flyers, but I do now have the means to make some apex kibble. Without a flyer, living on this floating island is going to have some challenges. Sure, we can get down off this island by jumping down and parachuting, but getting back up to the island is going to be quite difficult. With that being said, I need something I can fly on, and I'm pretty sure I can fly on this apex dimorphodon without a saddle. It's only a really low level, but I was right. You can fly on the back of it without a saddle. It's not amazing, but I just need something for now. The biggest problem is how slow it is. If we encounter any flying aggressive creature, they'll catch us and delete us instantly. But since this is an apex creature, I wanted to see if it was strong enough to take down a Rex. The answer is yes. We managed to take this down easily. We also managed to take down this baby Bronto as well, then harvest it for its prime meat so we could make some more apex kibble. One thing started to annoy me though. This blood that kept spewing out of my apex dimorphodon.
Bro, why is that blood is that blood my buff? Blood rage. Oh, it's the buff that I have.
Yeah, apparently it's some buff that apex creatures get. I think it's similar to how the Karchar works, where you kill creatures and you get stronger per kill, which I guess practically it's a pretty decent skill to have. It's just an annoying animation to have while you're flying around trying to look for things. I then looked through this dino's options to see if we could turn it off. Apparently you can't. We have a flyer. This is good for certain things, but I wanted to see what else we could get. I then thought maybe an apex bulb dog might be a cool tame, so I began shooting it to try and knock it out whilst trying to stay alive myself. I managed to deal quite a bit of torpor. I fell down from this cliff face and started to run away. I was sure the apex bulb dog was going to try and kill me.
Wait, this guy just following me? He's a passive tame. I'm an idiot. Why did no one say anything?
Streaming to a whole bunch of people and nobody said anything. My community are no help sometimes.
Man. The f did he come from?
That was an extremely close call. In other news, we're running down the beach on a big ass apex bulb dog. This is a pretty sweet tame if you ask me. Day 13, I wanted to test out this bulb dog's power. Against this Karkanos, doing 500 damage points per hit is pretty decent for where we're at in the game. The only painful thing is the bulb dog can't harvest dead bodies, so we have to dismount and do it the good old fashioned way with one of our tools. We then moved on to the snow where I tried nibbling on the ankles of this mammoth. There was a lot of other dangerous creatures around and I didn't want to get my butt melted already. I got a little bit overconfident and tried taking down these Daedons, but then I got swarmed by a whole pack of them and a pack of direwolves as well.
Oh crap. Oh crap, we're dead. We're dead. We're dead. It's been fun.
The progression's a little bit slow, but hey, at least we're progressing somewhat. I mean, I still have a flyer, so that's a positive thing, right? On this Dimorphodon, I just went out hunting down creatures that I could collect alpha or apex blood from, or even things that drop prime meat. We managed to secure a whole bunch of blood that we could then bring back to base and turn into alpha or apex narcotics. I'm also a high enough level that I could now make tranquilizer darts, so I went ahead and crafted up a good old long neck, gathered a whole bunch of narco berries from the bushes around my island, and began crafting up a whole bunch more narcotics. Also, in order to make these tranquilizer darts, I need gunpowder, which is a little bit of a process to make it, as I need flint and stone to make the spark powder, which I then mix with charcoal to make the gunpowder. I then make the simple rifle ammo, which I combine with the modded narcotics to make these modded tranquilizer darts. It's a bit of a long drawn out process, but it's worth it. Day 14, I flew down to this red colored forest. I spotted the celestial bee, so I turned and went the other way. Shh, scared the f out of me. Oh no! This didn't work out too well for me. We are dying a whole lot in this 100 days. And yes, we did just lose another flyer. I really need to do something about this. So with my grapple hook and parachute combination, we went out to go and try and find ourselves a flyer. It is kind of blissful just hanging out here on our parachute, knowing very well that if we hit the ground anywhere around here, we're probably gonna die. Like there's literally nowhere safe to land. Is that a godly freaking brood mother? Even when I do find some hard ground, it's surrounded by so many crazy creatures. I do manage to juke a couple by jumping off this cliff, using my parachute, then grappling back to safety whilst they jump off the cliff. I do make it to the border of the desert biome where we spot this alpha bulb dog. And as long as you have the kibble, these guys are a great team to pick up quickly and then make your way around. Because of their speed, we're able to get around some of these faster, dangerous creatures quite quickly. I'm just always making sure that I'm constantly on the move. We then find an apex bulb dog, which I assume is just better, which refused to let me tame it because it was aggroed onto me. I scaled another cliff face because getting up high and using my parachute to get around just seems to be the safer option for us right now. And it was here that I spotted this level 145 apex pteranodon. That's actually a really good tame. I just now need to figure out a way to be able to get this thing on the ground so I can shoot it and tame it. But ideally, I don't want it to drop down there because there's some creatures down there that I know will kill it, like the rock golem and some raptors. Oh, and this thing as well. Okay, don't worry. Ideally, we want this pteranodon to just hover above the ledge that we're standing on and not get too close to that godly tiger. After patiently waiting quite a while, the apex pteranodon gets close enough for us to be able to bowler it. Unfortunately, there was a nature pteranodon nearby that wasn't happy that I bowlered its friend. Day 15, and I wanted to test out to see if one of these bulb dogs could receive fall damage. No fall damage, no fall damage. No fall damage! That was about as risky as making a speech at a Trump rally. But hey, we got out of it alive, and that's all that matters. I then snuck up on this apex bulb dog and shoved some kibble down its throat. We now have ourselves another apex bulb dog. But I'm still suffering PTSD from the last time that we heard some of these big explosions. Alright, we out. That was too close. I then try and return back to the place where that level 145 pteranodon was, but there was a rock golem guarding it. I tried biting it with my bulb dog, but it takes reduced damage. So with that, we leave this alone, and we're just gonna have to try and find something else to tame. I then get hunted down by this nature dodo. It was rather weak, so we were able to take it out. This also gave us an opportunity to be able to harvest it and gain some elemental blood. But then another nature dodo came past and destroyed my apex bulb dog. My apex is dead. That nature dodo killed my apex creature. I then had to try and escape myself. I don't know how grappling up here was helping, but it did. I ended up making it down to this coastline where we found this level 95 apex trike. And if you know me, trikes are my favorite creature in this game. They're just such a great early game tame. Extremely tanky, and they can help you gather berries, which make them the perfect early game tame. That's assuming you don't die to them. I stuck to the side of this wall and started shooting down at this apex trike, but then I ran out of trank darts. I tried using this primal spear, but it wasn't doing any torpor damage. Well, not by throwing it at least. I thought maybe if I stab it a couple times, that would work. It didn't. I respawned back at base and whipped up some elemental narcotics from the nature blood that we got from that dodo earlier. I then made a bunch of these elemental darts and some apex trank darts while we're here as well, and began heading back to that trike with our alpha bulb dog. I then shot this apex trike in the butt, thinking that it would knock it out immediately. I was wrong. But I did manage to get a shot off before I went down. Running back to go and fetch this apex trike, I ran into a godly trike. Next, I returned back to the ground, tamed up an alpha bulb dog quickly. Then I ran around this godly trike that murdered us earlier and made it back to this apex trike in time for us to be able to knock it out. I waited a little moment, fed it some kibble, and we now have tamed ourselves an apex trike. Further out exploring, we found ourselves this level 145 alpha pteranodon. It was flying over this water, and I couldn't go into this water because there's freaking piranhas everywhere. But just down the ways from it was this level 50 apex pteranodon. Even though it's a lower level, because it's a higher tier, it's just better. I managed to bowler it just over this water, but it wasn't too deep here, so I wasn't worried about piranhas. I then put this bad boy to sleep with an elemental dart, feed it one single kibble, and managed to tame it. We had now secured ourselves an apex pteranodon. And as soon as we get a saddle for it, we can hit the skies once again. Day 16, I'm back at base where I crafted a saddle for my trike. I then floated down to land, safely of course with my parachute, and then used this apex trike to gather a whole bunch of berries. This trike is significantly better at gathering berries than the Morellatops was, and if any dino gets in our way, we can smack them in the face and do mass damage. I opened up my inventory and saw a whole bunch of narco berries. We also get a crazy amount of rare flowers as well. Although it might be risky, I wanted to test out this trike against this Alpha Rex, and this thing didn't stand a chance. Next, I zipped back to base the only way I know how, dying, and began crafting up a whole bunch of narcotics. With this, we should get enough to last us quite a while. I then went back down to the ground, got my good old trusty Apex Trike out, and began fighting this level 25 Apex Trike. Basically, I wanted to take this thing out so that I could harvest its blood, so that I could stock up on some Apex narcotics. I then took on a pack of Allosauruses, couple alpha ones, and even an Apex variant. They didn't stand a chance against my Trike. It's just too strong. And the fact that it has a damage reduction to the head kind of helps as well. Then we took a bit of a risk by trying to take out this Storm Carno. It's a level 140 and has 94,000 health points. Thankfully, my trike had knockback abilities, so it kept it away from us long enough for us to do quite a bit of damage. But then once it did this electric attack to us and started biting us from the side, we came really close to dying. No. No. One hit, I'm dead. One hit. We're clutching it. We're clutching it. We clutched it. How the hell I survived that, I have no idea. I then tested my luck out against this Apex RG and this Earth Patchy, and it's safe to say that my luck ran out. This is why I haven't been naming a lot of my creatures. They're all dying so quickly. It's not my fault, they're just weak. I then crafted up an Apex Pteranodon saddle, placed it on the back of this Apex Pteranodon, and went out on the hunt to try and find something else that we could tame. Day 17, and my goal for today is to find a male Apex Pteranodon that I can breed with our female one, so that I could have some backups because they all seem to keep dying. Ideally something with a decent level. I managed to spot one, but before we could try and tame it, we got taken out by some ants. Before returning to go and tame that Apex Pteranodon, I stocked back up on some Apex Strength Darts. Then we flew back over to Trike Island, where we found a different Apex Pteranodon, this level 135 male, which is perfect for what we're after. I managed to wrap a bolo around its legs that brought it straight to the ground, shot it with a couple of these Apex Strength Darts, and became this raptor's lunch. Oh, you're kidding me. Yeah, that wasn't even a modded creature. That was just a vanilla raptor. Thankfully, I was smart enough to put away our Apex Pteranodon in one of the soul balls. And when I returned, this Pteranodon was already asleep. I just didn't know exactly where this raptor was. There was this storm raptor that was close by, so I hit it so we could kite it away before we actually try and tame that Pteranodon. Once I had determined that this area was safe, I returned back to the sleeping Pteranodon, fed it some Apex kibble, and we now secured ourselves a male Pteranodon. Now that we have a breeding pair of Pteranodons, I returned back to base and allowed this beautiful pair to start making some love. With these guys breeding, we shouldn't have to worry about losing flyers ever again. Our main flyer was quite a low level, so I took the saddle off of her and put it onto our male Apex Pteranodon, as we'll use him until we have a decent stat baby. Next, I wanted to craft myself a fabricator. Unfortunately, we don't have any oil. That's okay though, quick trip to the snow so we could go and collect some, which normally would be a pretty easy trip, but there's so many crazy scary creatures out here that we have to be wary of where we land. Also, somehow we managed to take down one of these elemental Kairuku, which gave us some free elemental blood. I don't think they're meant to be this weak, but hey, we're going to exploit it while we can. Anyways, we're here for oil, so we collect a bunch of it. I saw this Kairuku didn't have much health, but we weren't doing too much damage to it. I died to only one hit, but this did give us a quick way back to base where I could make this fabricator. I then made this CS crafting station that comes with the Cyberstructures mod. It's basically just a crafting bench that you can make all the Cyberstructures items. Quite a few unique things in here that you can make. The early morning of day 18, I placed down these standing torches so they could help us incubate these eggs. Except these Pteranodons didn't like the heat. I had to cool things down quite a bit before I could get these guys to hatch. We waited a little bit longer so we could hatch another one of these babies as well. We now have 3 baby Apex Pteranodons. While we wait for these babies to grow up so we could continue breeding them more so that we get the best stats, I went out and started doing some drop hunting to see if we can get some decent items. I also picked up some cementi paste while we're out here as well. It's a little bit cheaty in my opinion, but this loot grabber mod helps you pick up items that are in containers just by pressing the crouch button. This is definitely super cheaty, but it does make things a little bit more convenient. But through this, we secured an Ascendant crossbow. An Ascendant crossbow will be significantly better than a primitive long neck. I then got out a couple more of our Pteranodons so we could continue breeding these guys a little bit quicker. This is basically just a bird orgy right now. These standing torches are super primitive. I'm definitely going to have to upgrade to air conditioners soon. Now, I did have an ulterior motive for breeding this many Pteranodons. Unfortunately, this reasoning is kind of sinister. With this, we can basically just harvest as much apex hide and blood as we need. And just like that, we can make a whole bunch of apex trank arrows, preparing ourselves to be able to tame some really strong creatures. Day 19, and I have one simple goal: tame something extremely powerful. Maybe something like this level 140 Apex Rex. I tried shooting it from a safe far distance, but ultimately I was just wasting my trank darts. So I had to drop down to the ground to get to a closer position so I could start shooting this guy. The Apex Tranks with the Ascendant's crossbow was doing quite a bit of torpor damage. I then grappled to the side of this mountain whilst this Rex was aggroed onto me. This gave me the perfect angle to start shooting down at this thing, but then it got uninterested in us and started walking away. So I dropped down to the ground and got my juicy cheeks in front of its face so it would start chasing us once again. And then I returned to the side of this mountain and we just rinsed and repeated this process over and over until its torpor was so high that it wouldn't aggro on us anymore. There was explosions going off in the distance and I was worried that this Apex Rex might run into him. It's a strong Rex, but it's not stronger than those explosions. I made sure to stay focused and trying to knock this thing out, but we started running out of our trank darts and arrows. I only had a few trank darts left and I knew it wasn't enough to be able to knock this thing out. Determined to get ourselves this Apex Rex, I flew all the way back to base, sacrificed a couple pteranodons to the ARK gods, and started crafting up a whole bunch of Apex narcotics with their blood, then turned all of that into Apex arrows. I returned back to this Apex Rex and it still had a whole bunch of torpor. I tried to draw it closer to the desert biome so it would be away from those big explosions. Then with our Ascendant crossbow, I just started knocking this thing out again.
Who's scared of who in this situation? I'm so confused.
Come on, just take the L, bro.
So I can take you home. You're almost down. You're almost down, son. I missed.
I discovered those explosions were being caused by a demonic creature that could easily one-shot me and this Rex. Those explosives started to sound like they were getting closer.
Come on, just get up, 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 just get up. Yes.
Taming this Apex Rex will help us have a massive jump in progress. Only having one Apex Rex is way too risky. We need to find a friend for it. The only problem is the few that we did find were all males, and my Rex isn't gay. Day 20, we came down to this little river system and went in for a little bit of a splash. Really, I came here because there's a bunch of silica pearls here. You can find silica pearls all over the river systems in Nemesis, but this little hidden gem is the safest area. All the other places seem to be guarded by Spinos. At least this way, we can stock up on a whole bunch of them safely. We've done our daily chores by gathering a whole stack of silica pearls. Now it's time to have some fun on the back of our most powerful creature, this Apex Rex. And the moment of truth, is it actually strong?
How much damage are you doing? All right, yeah, you're cool. You're straight.
I then tested its might against this volcanic raptor. It didn't bring enough heat and we melted it, not us. Even though our Rex is really strong, it can still be taken down quite easily by much stronger variants of creatures. I tried to be as cautious as possible, but we accidentally ran into this Hydro Allosaurus. Somehow we beat its ass and we managed to get a whole bunch of elemental blood and hide from it. Having this super powerful Apex Rex has really changed the game for us. We can now easily take out some of these elemental creatures, which will give us elemental blood that we can make elemental tranks from. Later that night, we came down to this coastline and went swimming in the ocean. I'm out here looking for some trilobites because I wanted to get some black pearls. I just kind of forget exactly why I wanted the black pearls. And I know at this level that we're at in this game, these are the best way to get them. The only problem is you don't gather that many from them. We were struggling with the oxygen situation and kept getting pretty close to drowning every time we went to the bottom of the ocean. So in my brain at this time, I thought maybe taming this dolphin was going to help us. But there was one slight problem. Yeah, I'd run out of stamina, so we couldn't move. I had tamed this dolphin, so I figured I might as well keep it safe. Now we just had to wait until this inevitably happened. Day 21, we went out for a leisurely flight around this map. Basically, we were looking to see if we could find anything interesting that we could tame. We didn't find a single thing of interest, so we came back to base. Then later on, I went back down to the ocean with the dolphin that I tamed in the previous day. I went ahead and placed a saddle on the back of it, and then this happened.
Oh, you bum.
I tried to get it back in one of these soul balls, but it didn't work. Are we really surprised from that outcome? No, not really. Anyways, on this day, I was determined to explore this ocean, and another dolphin approached me, so I decided to try and tame this. Now that we have our very own dolphin, we can now journey through the ocean without any risk of being killed, I think. This map's oceans are vast and wide, and they're forever getting updated, so there's lots to see down here. We even managed to get a bunch of trilobites and some more black pearls. But whilst we were down here, we got attacked by some megalodons. I began to fight back against this wannabe shark, and once we turned it into fresh sushi, I noticed another shark came by as well. I didn't want to press our luck, so we decided to leave. The ocean was cool, but I was kind of hoping to find some cool modded creatures down here. There really wasn't much to see, so I came back to the surface, put this dolphin away, and flew on off into the sunset. Day 22, we wake up and break a bunch of these stones and trees from around our island to gather their resources. I was then told by my Twitch chat that you can make a fabricated sniper rifle, and you can make trank bullets for it. I'm just obviously not a high enough level for it just yet. Moving on, we had a whole bunch of these Apex Pteranodon eggs that were ready to hatch.
I mean, too hot. There's nothing happening.
But unfortunately, the eggs were too hot to be able to hatch. With our earlier run collecting all of those silica pearls, we now had enough electronics to be able to make a few of these air conditioners and move up in the world, getting rid of these standing torches. Of course, before using the air conditioners, I need to place down this electric generator and fill it up with some fuel that I'd made earlier. We then placed down these air conditioners and started hatching these eggs so much easier than there was before. One of our community members was having a little bit of trouble progressing, so I went to go help him out by giving him a breeding pair of our apex pteranodons. Yeah, you can tell me, I am the best server owner in the world. Next, we resumed our hunt for a female apex rex. At this point of the game, I had refused to use the creature finder mod, but I was starting to kind of regret it. We were using the shiny dinos mod though, and that's when we came across this.
Princess Parasol? Hey, we found a shiny.
I mean, I'm sure it's pretty cool, but I don't need it. I've got enough princesses in my life. What I need in my life right now is this girl right here.
There we go. Why does it have to be such a high level though? The fact that it's a high level kind of sucks.
You might be thinking, Aaron, why does this suck? Having a high level creature like this should be good, right? You see, the problem we face right now is that we're not quite prepared to be able to tame something like this. I don't have the amount of tranks that it requires to be able to knock it out. I know I'm going to need a whole lot of apex blood just so I could make the narcotics. Now, apparently, with the help of a chainsaw, we should be able to harvest more blood from the carcass of a dead animal. And I'm pretty sure it's correct. I'm pretty sure we are gathering a lot more blood than we would have if we just used our normal metal tools. Day 23, we're somewhat prepared to go and try and tame this apex rex. This time I made sure to come extremely prepared by bringing a bear trap as well, and some metal gates to obviously try and keep it trapped inside. Now all I need to do is get this big black girl into this trap. I got its attention and started kiting it towards this trap, except this didn't work.
Oh my god.
In Ark Survival Ascended, the pathing on the dinos has changed quite a bit, that trapping them is a little bit more difficult than it was previously. Except they do become stupid at times like this and just get stuck anyway. And we use this to our advantage to be able to knock it out successfully. It's kind of silly how this all worked out. We didn't even need the bear trap to begin with. And because I'm playing on a server with a bunch of other people, I made sure to clean out my trap after I was finished with it. Very mindful, very demure. This was again another pivotal moment in our 100-day journey. Being able to breed these Rexes basically means we should never have to worry about losing them. With these big bad boys breeding, we can't really do much else, except we can expand our base. So that's basically all I did for the rest of this day. Expanded our foundations to create some more space that we're definitely going to need. Even had enough space that we could have these Rexes breeding up on top of a foundation and not sinking into the island. Now that we had enlarged our foundations, I had to rearrange some of our crafting benches. This was pretty straightforward, and I could place them in places that I kind of liked a little better. Day 24, we came over to this volcanic wyvern trench. There's no wyverns here currently because it's like an additional mod, but there is obsidian, a lot of it. Problem is, I don't have a tool to be able to harvest it right now. My last one broke and I threw it away. I made a quick pit stop back at base so I could make another multi-tool. Problem is, I don't have enough metal to make it. I don't know how I've run out of metal or what happened, but to be able to get some quick metal, I had some random signs and metal things that were laying around my base, so I placed them down and destroyed them to get the extra metal. Then I could make myself this beautiful multi-tool and get back to work harvesting a whole bunch of resources. How the hell we're already out of metal is a mystery to me, but we spend the next little while just gathering as much as possible to fill up these forges so that we hopefully don't run out of metal ever again. Next, one of our baby Rexes is fully grown up, so we took it down to the coastline, placed a saddle on its back, and went to go test its power. You see, this is imprinted, so with no levels, he's already doing a ton of damage. I then placed a bunch of levels into its melee stat, and even apex brontos with over 100,000 health don't stand a chance against me and my power. Like, this rock golem tried to come in and party as well, but it didn't stand a chance. After getting our butt kicked from so many creatures earlier on in this playthrough, it's nice to finally have the upper hand in a lot of these fights. This was a little bit more risky, but I wanted to take down this earth bronto. You see, earth blood is actually super valuable in this mod. This bronto was a low enough level that it wasn't too intimidating to fight, but thanks to having his chainsaw, we were able to gather a whole bunch of this earth blood. Now, what exactly do we use this earth blood for? Well, it's a main ingredient to make steel in this mod, which you use to be able to make some of the higher tier items. Next, I placed down a bunch of these crop plots on this side of my base. I wanted to prepare for the future, because to be able to make some of the higher tier kibble, you do need some veggies. Now, I could go and collect them out in those places that we have earlier, but it's just easier to have them around base. Our apex Rexes now have so much health that healing naturally just takes way too long. So long that I'm gonna have to try and make these health potions. It's a little bit of a process to make them, and one of the main ingredients that I need to be able to make it is the normal medical brews. Since one of the main ingredients to make these medical brews is narcotics, we're gonna need even more than I thought originally. Problem is, we don't have a berry gatherer currently, so it's time to go and tame one. This is a pretty low level trike, but we only need it to gather berries, so its level doesn't really matter. And at least this way, it only took one trank to be able to knock it out. Again, it was kind of a shame that we lost our apex trike because it was pretty cool and pretty strong, but like I said, we only need this to gather some more berries so we can then make more narcotics and other stuff, I suppose. As we were walking next to this water source, I remembered something.
I just remembered. There's freaking pearls in here.
Yeah, you can gather silica pearls and black pearls just in this pond. It's a lot safer here than it is with the spinos and piranhas in the river systems. Once again, we had restocked our narco berry supply and tinto berries, which is also something that we need to be able to make these medical brews. I also realized that I had gathered a bunch of seeds too for our farm. But also, if I'm gonna grow my farm, I'm gonna need some fertilizer. So it's back out to the desert we go to try and find some dung beetles. And we found this big Bertha apex dung beetle. I shoved some poop up its butt, which is kind of gross, and tamed it. There was another one close by, so I figured I'd tame that as well, because 2 is always better than 1. I then placed them in the depot terminal to start making this poop into fertilizer. I also placed down some of these water tanks here so they could catch the rainwater and then go on to watering our crops. Now to progress even further, I need to fight the apex boss. Our Rexes have been breeding for quite a while, so we have our army of Rexes ready to fight, but I want to have one that's particularly strong. So the one that we're currently riding, I went out to the desert so we could kill a bunch of creatures and level up. Once I was happy with his levels and stats, I put him away, returned back to base so I could make this apex boss summon, and began flying to find a location that was best to fight this boss. I settled on Pirate Island for this particular boss fight.
Yeah, this might be the place to fight.
At least this way there was no crazy strong creatures that could surprise us out of the blue. I got out my army of Apex Rexes, leveled up their melee stat only, and then summoned in this Apex boss. This boss is just an oversized troll. I immediately sent my army of Rexes in to start fighting, and then I soon followed. I soon realized we were definitely going to win this fight. A few of my Apex Rexes were starting to take L's, but this Apex boss's health was dropping rapidly. And before I could finish the word supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, the thing was dead.
That was actually really easy. Yeah, way easier than expected.
Now that we had defeated the Apex boss, we have now unlocked all the elemental kibbles, but they require a whole lot of ingredients to be able to make them, including a whole lot of vegetables and things that we need to start growing. We now have a little bit of fertilizer, so we can at least start that process. I checked the Primal cauldron to see exactly what we were missing to be able to craft any of these kibbles, like these essences that you get from killing certain elemental creatures. Next, I had enough steel to be able to make a steel metal pick, and apparently it has a greater harvest rate than we currently have. I also made the steel metal hatchet as well. I had enough resources to be able to make the storm kibble. Ideally, the first elemental creature we want to tame is a storm griffin. So we start preparing ourselves to do exactly that by making a whole bunch of trank arrows and then heading on out to try and find one to tame. A bunch spawn on the map, but they're a lot harder to find than I realized, since the only ones that we found were kind of low levels. Day 27, we were really putting the steel pickaxe to the test to see whether or not it really does gather a lot more resources. This was one hit with the steel pickaxe, and this was one hit with the metal multi-tool. Yeah, multi-tool's way better. Well, that's today's science with AronAztek. Also, we're finally a high enough level to make some of these advanced sniper bullets. So I go ahead and make a fabricated sniper rifle, which we're now going to use to go and try and knock out some elemental creatures. Maybe something like this storm griffin. I know it's not a high level, but we're going to have to try and work with it.
This probably isn't going to go to plan, but I mean, if it kind of did, it'll be good.
I shot it once and we only did 5,000 torpor. Thankfully, with the fabricated sniper, our aim is a little bit better since there's no drop off on the bullet. But the fact that we don't do very much torpor damage is kind of a problem. Also, since we're in the snow, there's so many dangerous creatures here that want to eat my butt. They didn't let us out of here alive. I've now realized that if I want to tame one of these elemental creatures with massive torpor, I'm going to need a whole lot more tranks than I currently have. Some of the best tranks we can make right now are elemental tranks. So I spent a large part of this day just hunting down elemental creatures and harvesting their bodies for their blood. It's also good practice to take down these modded rock elementals when we have the opportunities as well, since currently they're the only way for us to be able to get nickel ore to be able to make steel. I came back to base and started cooking up as many of these elemental narcotics as possible, and I thought with all the blood that we had gathered, we were able to make a lot. It is a lot, but like kind of isn't as well. Day 28, we took flight and encountered a typical ARK problem. Yeah. The game just froze. This was pretty common with this map as well. This wasn't the only time that this happened to us. Whenever we head in this general direction, something tends to freeze the game up. The game had crashed, and when we spawned back in, we were falling to our death.
Oh, I didn't die. That's almost worse.
You see, if we had died, we would have gone straight back to base and been able to just continue on. I mean, it's not hard to die. We could just do it ourselves. I respawned back at base, and then I begged one of my community members to come pick me up so I can go and pick up my Pteranodon. Kind of humiliating being carried like a baby like this. But at the end of the day, we got our Pteranodon back, and that's all that matters. Hopefully, we don't freeze the game up again. All I needed to do was just come out to the snow biome again so I could collect some oil. I was running a little bit low on gasoline, so we just got the oil so we could craft that up again. Myself and the community was having trouble getting enough water to be able to water our crops. So I changed the cyberstructure mod around a little bit so that we could place down this water intake wherever we needed to help us water our crops. It's now day 29, and in an ideal world, we should be out taming elemental creatures. But honestly, we're just not quite prepared for that right now. So in preparation for exactly that, I went out to try and get a bunch of resources. Pirate Island is a great place for us to get polymer and chitin, since this place is filled with a whole bunch of these carcanos that drop a lot of it. I obviously had to pick up some vegetables while I was here as well. I then went and gathered a bunch of stone and flint so that we could make some more gunpowder. We picked up some wood as well well so we could turn it into charcoal. The stone will also help with us mixing it with the chitin to make some cementy paste back at base. I had now also added the upgrade station mod. I think it's kind of essential in this mod just because some of the creatures are really hard to knock out, and if we can upgrade this fabricated sniper, it'll help us out significantly taming some of these creatures. I realized we had so many items that we've been picking up from these drops around the world that if we grind them up, we might get a lot of resources back from them. My mission right now was of course to be able to make the CS Industrial Grinder. It's really damn expensive to make and requires a lot of metal. We don't have nearly enough currently, but we'll work towards getting it eventually. Then I had the idea of taming an earth elemental creature. Also, after being nagged by my community a whole lot, I added the Dirt Creature Finder mod. It's going to make life a lot easier moving forward. And the first victim that we found was the Earth Dodicarus. This creature will be really helpful around our base. It's just taking us a little while to be able to knock this thing out, even with these stronger tranks and the stronger fabricated sniper. We went through all of our elemental sniper bullets and all of our apex bullets, so I had to rush back to base and I picked up my ascendant crossbow and some apex trank arrows that I had laying around. This then gave me enough trank arrows to be able to finally knock this thing out. Our first elemental dino is the Earth Dodicarus. I came back to base and desperately needed to replenish my sniper bullet ammo, which means we need to craft a whole bunch of gunpowder. Thankfully, we already had some charcoal and spark powder prepared, so we can just go ahead and start making it. I also had enough ingredients to be able to make some celestial bullets. Now, celestial bullets require steel ingots, and we're out of earth blood. That's okay though, because I know a perfect place to be able to get some earth blood right now from some brontos. For some reason, there was a whole bunch of them that spawned near where we tamed the Earth Dodicarus. Took out a few of these guys and harvested them with our ARKs. And this final one, I wanted to harvest with my tools to see which would gather more. It was clear that our metal multi-tool gathered significantly more than the Rex would. Day 31 and we're still out here on our Rex trying to kill some elemental creatures for their blood. I got a little bit overconfident and went in and amongst these trees where I lost my vision. This is where a wyvern came out of nowhere and pretty much munched our butt until we died. I then decided maybe it's time for us to actually try out our Dodicarus. Now that we're in the elemental tier, they do really cool attacks. This is what makes playing modded Ark a lot more fun. Like, this is some Avatar the Last Bender type shit. My homie Toph would be very proud. Oh, and also we did manage to harvest a whole bunch of stone. We should be set for quite a while. Now, since we're stocking up on so many resources, I figured I better stock up on wood as well. But the trees in the redwoods just give you so much more wood out of one single tree. Next, I went ahead and crafted up as many of these celestial bullets as I possibly could. And to make sure I get the most out of the celestial bullets, I made sure to upgrade my fabricated sniper. Well, as much as I could before we ran out of resources. They're really expensive to upgrade. Anyways, thanks to the creature finder, we found this level 145 Storm Griffin. It has 500,000 torpor, but with these celestial bullets, we're doing so much more torpor damage towards it. Only a few shots in and we've already done over 200,000 torpor damage. The Griffin wasn't too happy about that and ended our lives. I returned once again to continue knocking this big bird out. Couple more shots with the celestial bullets, and we put this big lion chicken to sleep. I kind of forgot to have some kibble ready, so we had to fly back to base quickly and whip up some of this storm kibble to feed to the Storm Griffin. Now, Griffins are a massive game changer in this mod and this playthrough. Not only are they super strong, but the simple fact that we now have a flyer that you can shoot off the back of makes taming creatures so much easier than it ever has been before. I just got to make sure that I don't do stupid things like this and die.
Oh, shh.
Thankfully, once I returned, the Griffin was handling business and destroyed that volcanic Anki that killed us. That is one strong independent bird. Also, my Twitch chat decided to name this guy Thor. I mean, it suits him because he's like an electric type and he's kind of godly and stuff. Now, Thor needs a friend. Maybe something like this volcanic Anki. Yes, I know we just got murdered by one, but now I want one for myself. Apparently, they have a pretty cool ability.
What are you doing? Thor, chill out, bro.
Yeah, Thor gets carried away sometimes. Anyways, we now tame this volcanic Anki, and let me demonstrate one of its really cool abilities. It works just like an industrial forge. You place some metal inside of it, and it'll start cooking. Wait, sorry, you have to put a saddle on it first. And then open the radio menu and select Toggle Forge.
Ah, ha, 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 ha. Yes, he's gonna smelt tons of metal at once.
Now, of course, I had to keep this big boy busy and go and collect a whole bunch of metal. The only thing that's a little bit odd, it only works with normal metal, none of the modded stuff. I'd realized it's day 32, and our base is looking super basic. Now, if we really want to start progressing, we need to have a proper base. Most people know the type of bases I try and build, and this time I was trying something a little bit different. There's a little bit of an exploit you can do in this game to kind of tilt these foundations. Then I placed these ceilings down to try and elongate this section a little bit. It wasn't really going to plan, but we did come up with a workaround. Day 33, and we're still working on this base, just trying to bring things together. Walls kind of make things look nicer. I also managed to adjust some settings so we could extend this place a little bit longer. Now, you might not know what I'm doing exactly, but basically I'm just building this big ass ramp. It was looking kind of thin, so I decided to add some more girth to it. And there we go. It's coming together kind of nicely. The shaft is long, but it's a little bit crooked and tilted to the left a little bit. But trust me guys, that's completely normal. Pretty happy with how the shaft is looking. It's time for us to place a roof on this base. At least this way this place will feel a little bit more homely. As most will know, base building does take quite a while. It's day 34 and we're still working on this base. It's coming together. We just have to put a roof on the other side. The only problem is this roof is our greenhouse, so the roof needs to be made completely out of greenhouse materials. And we placed as many of these ceiling pieces on as we could, but we ran out of resources quite quickly and it's definitely nowhere near enough. This is when I remembered it's probably a good time to make this industrial grinder now. With all the ascendant gear and stuff that we've picked up in the drops, we're surely going to be able to grind all of this up so we can get a ton of resources. Let's see how well we go. Yeah, that's not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. I think we're going to be fine for metal and cementing paste for quite a while. Unfortunately though, we were missing one resource that we desperately needed to be able to finish off our greenhouse. Crystal. We were missing crystal. We need it for a lot of other things as well, so we might as well stock up on as much as possible. And this area is a great place to get a bunch of it. With all the resources we had just gathered, we should be able to finish this off now. Well, almost. We still needed to add a few more little pieces in. I just hadn't crafted quite enough just yet. And there we go. That super satisfying feeling when we enclose our base completely.
Done. The base is now properly secured.
Day 35, and once again I want to try and set ourselves up for a successful future, and I want to get myself a beehive so I can start making some honey. I might need it for stuff, I don't know, but to get honey I need some rare flowers so then I can tame some bees. And thankfully in this mod we can harvest rare flowers from normal bushes. Out of nowhere we had a friend come and try and join our alliance. Say hello to Vanny. We now had a whole bunch of rare flowers. It was time to go and tame ourselves a giant bee. Except this one that we found looked like it was in a cave or something, and I didn't feel like trying to find where the cave entrance was. So we came over to this big redwoods tree that had a beehive right on it. I broke the beehive, got the bee out of it, and tried to avoid its little minions that wanted to take me down. Once everything was all calm, I got my eyes on this giant queen bee, then realized there was a few others around as well. I spotted one that had its back turned to me and charged over to it to try and tame it. I wasn't quite quick enough in this instance, but I saw another one, took my opportunity, ran over, and we successfully tamed a giant queen bee. I returned back to base and I made one of these CS gardeners. This should gather all of our fruits and vegetables out of the crop plots so that they can continue growing without any limitations. I then placed down this giant beehive and placed all of the rare flowers inside it. This almost cost me my life. The bees weren't too happy because I wasn't wearing any ghillie. Later on, I then inspected the gardener to make sure that it was working correctly, and all of our veggies were in there alongside this rice.
Yo, we got rice for days.
This is a modded resource exclusive to Primal Nemesis. There's another plant that I hadn't grown yet called seaweed, and you can pick up seaweed seeds from basically any bush just like the others. I wanted to make sure I had every plant growing in this place. I can never be too sure what we're going to need and when we're going to need it. The seaweed grows kind of big too. I then moved my terminals over to a better location. This way they kind of sit flush against the wall and aren't in the way of anything. And to finish the day off, I placed an awesome teleporter right down here. This way we can teleport back to base whenever we need instead of just dying and appearing here. Day 36, we took off on our griffin to go and get some more resources that we can't get from grinding items. Mainly organic polymer. Again, from all the crabs around Pirate Island and any one of these frost crabs that we can find out in the wild. It's also good to take these guys out because we get the elemental blood as well. The main reason that we needed all of this polymer was so we could upgrade our fabricated sniper once again, and now we have an ascendant fabricated sniper. I then replenished our elemental advanced sniper bullet supply, searched through the dino finder to try and find our next tame, and took off on the hunt. We had discovered that there's a shiny griffin on the map, the Lichen Storm Griffin. Now the advantage with this being a shiny is that it can go over the max level of 150. Now all we need to do is just knock this out and tame it, which is a little bit easier said than done, because if we knock it out in the wrong location, it might fall among some other crazy strong creatures like this frost gorilla. I waited for it to fly a little bit away and then took the opportunity to put this girl to sleep. Unfortunately, this frost gorilla is so fast that it was right nearby. Now all I had to do was just try and wait for the frost gorilla to go away. When I saw that the coast was clear, I went in to try and tame this Lichen Storm Griffin. I put Thor away in a soul ball, rushed over to this griffin, fed it a storm kibble, it tamed up, and I put it away in one of these soul balls just in the nick of time.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. We got him in a ball.
It was certainly very risky to try and tame that storm griffin,
but it is worth it because look what we got. We got the Lichen Storm Griffin.
One of the people in my stream chat decided to name this griffin Electric Boogaloo. Now, Electric Boogaloo is breeding with Thor. We're going to have an army of storm griffins in no time. When Thor wasn't required for breeding, I would jump on his back and head on out to go farm some Apex Brontos for their blood. Even though we have Pteranodons, these guys just give us so much more blood when we harvest them with a chainsaw. I then encountered this level 95 Bionic Rex, and my chat said I could probably take it on. And I thought maybe because it's a bionic creature, it might drop electronics. Some electronics would be handy, and it would make sense if a bionic creature gave us some electronics. So I began attacking it, and we were doing quite a bit of damage towards it. Then it was its turn to hit us.
Ouch.
Yeah, I can kill it. Yeah, totally.
Lesson learned. Don't ever listen to your Twitch chat. I swear, this 100 days, my community have it out for me. If we want to progress past the elemental tier, we're going to need to tame all different variations of the elemental creatures. The next creature I want to tame is this volcanic Rex. You see, when you're in the elemental tier, different elements have strengths and weaknesses against certain elements. We call this the Pokemon system. And this is the image that we use to know exactly what element is strong against what and weak against the other. So to make sure that we succeed against all the elemental bosses, we need to have the opposing elemental dino to defeat it. And the meta is to always get yourself a breeding pair of said dino and breed up a whole army with fully imprinted dinos that can defeat the bosses. We now have ourselves a breeding pair of volcanic Rexes. This army is going to be hot. Get it? Yeah, that wasn't a great one. Day 38, and I should be out here trying to tame our next elemental creature. Instead, I'm out here just reenacting my own serial killer fantasies. We then encountered this level 130 bionic enforcer. It only had 300,000 health, which sounds like a lot, but I'm pretty sure I can take this down since we're riding an imprinted, really strong storm griffin. It hit us and did a ton of damage towards us, but our health potions could heal us up real quick and get us back into this fight. The health potions really came in clutch and gave us the advantage so we could actually take down this bionic enforcer. Now, it did drop us electronics, but really not that much. It's not really worth the fight. I was told by my chat that if I want to defeat the bionic boss later on, I'm gonna need a creature with the rider protection trait. And to be able to find out exactly what has that, I need this primal gene scanner. But for such a high-tech instrument, this thing looks kind of goofy. It works pretty well though. I just scan any dino and it tells me exactly what traits it has. So out in the wilds, we go and test this thing out to see exactly what traits are around. Ideally, we want to find ourselves a Rex with the rider protection trait. Since the meta in this playthrough is to have a lot of different variations of Rexes, and you can only transfer traits between the same species. It can be different types like volcanic, storm, bionic, whatever. It just has to be the same species of creature. Trait farming like this is kind of time consuming, and we soon find out that rider protection is really rare. Day 39, and they had just updated this mod and added these guys. This is an alpha imposter loot boss. Basically, if you kill these loot bosses, they should drop a chest, and you get keys from killing other creatures from around the world, which you then use to unlock this chest. Unfortunately, at the time of this recording, this was kind of broken. Or is this the thing that we need keys for? What do we get out of that? Baby charm? I was trying to figure things out, but at this time, it just wasn't working. Then I encountered an annoying bug from it. You see, you can't harvest its body, but you can pick it up. I'm not trying to drag this body. Wait, why is... I can't see shit. And now I'm stuck inside it, dude. We were stuck holding this thing. If I put it down, I couldn't move myself. Then I came up with a pretty ingenious plan to get out of this situation. Maybe I could drop it in the ocean. It'll sink and I'll float. Then I can get out. There we go. Day 40, and today we just did a little bit of housekeeping, starting off by grinding unnecessary items that we have, then going back to the desert city to destroy our base right here. This way, if anyone new joins the server, they've got a place that's safe to build. Next, I went ahead and added some more foundations out here. I don't really like how the dinos sink in the ground, so I want a nice flat surface for them to stand on, especially while they're breeding. I then went ahead and crafted up some frost kibble, because yes, we are now going to tame a frost creature. Specifically, this level 150 frost gorilla. Thanks to having a pretty powerful fabricated sniper and some decent trank bullets, we knocked this guy out pretty easily. That's one frost gorilla down. Now we just have to find this big boy a girlfriend. The simple fact that we have a strong fabricated sniper rifle and we can shoot off the back of this griffin makes taming creatures so much easier than it was earlier. We just have to look out for some pests that want to come and fight us every now and then. We're stronger than most, but there's still demonics and celestials out there that could possibly one-shot us. And as easy as that, we secured our second frost gorilla. Day 41, we got our big gorillas breeding up, but again, they're sunk into the floor and I don't like this. So I tried to extend this walkway once again, but soon realized these gorillas are just way too big, especially since we're planning on breeding a whole bunch of creatures out here. Our strategy right now is for us to tame breeding pairs of all the elements. Then once we have a substantial sized army, we'll then take them in to go and fight some bosses. I leveled up to level 93, looked through my engrams and realized I could make the industrial cooker. This will help us a lot when we need to make the medical brews to be able to make some of the modded potions. Whilst we're here, I inspected to see exactly what I needed to be able to summon in some of these bosses. We had most of this to be able to start summoning some stuff in, but it looks like we're probably going to need to stock up on some apex blood. Day 42, I searched the map to see what storm creatures we could tame. I could fight with the griffins, but at the moment, I don't feel like they're the best choice right now. I didn't really see anything of interest right now. So then I looked up nature creatures, and it doesn't really look like many of these are the fighting type, other than the Giganotopithecus. I then had a rather crazy idea. What if I bred up a whole army of nature dodos to fight the boss? Bro, it's got 7,000 health, dude.
That's not surviving anything.
Yes, even with its weak amount of health, I still think this would be funny. And if we somehow manage to pull this off and defeat the boss with only nature dodos, I will be considered a dodo god. And everyone watching this video must join the dodo gang. I mean, it could be a numbers thing. We just got to get these guys breeding and then breed up a crazy amount of them that it might actually work. I checked their traits and their traits are pretty useless to us as well. Next, I found this level 145 Hydro Rex. It was just located on Trike Island, which is a rather safe place for us to be able to knock something powerful out. Other places like the desert has a bunch of demonic and celestial creatures. This area is kind of peaceful. I kind of wanted to try and fight some of the bosses with stuff other than Rexes, but obviously the Rexes are just significantly better than everything else. Before looking for a mate for this Hydro Rex, I came over to this brand new island. This wasn't on a miss of the last time I played, but basically this island is supposed to be like a full aberration zone. Reapers spawn here and a variation of other like aberrant dinos and stuff. We also managed to find some red crystals while we're here as well. Also, since we've been riding this griffin around for a while, someone decided to name it Thor's Hand. What does that mean? I don't know, but hey, it's not up to me. We then found a male Hydro Rex that could breed with our female one that we previously tamed just a moment ago. Quickly tamed this bad boy up and returned back to base to get these guys breeding. After a short while, I checked the depot terminal to see a whole bunch of eggs in there that were ready to hatch. Day 43, I realized if I wasn't logged off or if I wasn't in render, these dinos weren't breeding. So we had to add these hitching posts down and connect the dinos to them so that they'll continue breeding while we're away. I then went back out on our Earth Doed to harvest some more stone. This is easily the most fun way to harvest stone on these things. Their special abilities are just too cool. Next, I noticed that there was a rock elemental just below my base. So I went down to it to start killing it. It was taking a little while to go down and then it summoned its minions. And when you take these guys out, you can harvest nickel from them as well. I also wanted to experiment to see if my multi-tool would get any nickel from the rock golem. The answer is no. Hey, there's a quick look at my face and my amazing pecs. Next, we went to go try and tame an earth elemental dino. Again, there wasn't any kind of creature that looked like they were good at fighting, but these Brontos might be perfect because they're quite tanky with their health. Either way, the boss that they'll fight, they've got an advantage against since they take reduced damage and they do double the damage. This thing just has so much torpor that we didn't manage to knock it out until day 44. We managed to tame it just in time, but something hit it and we lost some of its bonus levels. We then had one of our volcanic babies fully grow up. Of course, I had to see if this thing was strong or not. I then went to go fight its brother or distant cousin, and it's safe to say, yeah, this thing's a bit of a beast and does a ton of damage. We even managed to test our might against its level 50 Bionic Rex. This was after pumping a few levels into its melee stat, so we were doing a ton of damage, except this Bionic Rex did a ton of damage to us as well.
No!
I then grabbed one of our Frost Gorilla babies that's no longer a baby anymore, and these guys look hella badass. I ain't gonna lie, this is pretty cool. They're decently strong, but not as strong as I had hoped. Well, that was until I did its ultimate move that does that much damage in the surrounding area. Also, these gorillas are mad fast. I went and fought this Volcanic Rex, which I'm pretty sure I'm weak against, but because this particular Frost Gorilla is strong, we dominated. I would have continued fighting, but I was just bored at this point. Whilst roaming around on this Frost Gorilla, we spotted this level 140 Hydro Rex that had pretty decent stats. Even though we already have a breeding pair, it might be good to get a better one. I was hoping once it tamed up, it might get really good bonus levels, and I was right. It got 44 points into melee. This is pretty decent for what it is. Then to count ourselves lucky, once again, I saw a strange light in the distance. It was this nature Giganotopithecus. Now, I know I said I was going in with a nature dodo army, but hey, this will still be pretty cool, and maybe this will be the one that I ride. I mean, it might have been cool if it wasn't losing its bonus levels from being attacked. It's now day 45, and we've been getting a little bit carried away doing other things that I forgot I needed to try and get a mate for our Earth Bronto. I found the perfect one on the map, but it was being protected by this thing.
Holy Lord! Oh my God!
So then I just did a 400 IQ play and kited this big Bronto away. That kind of rhymed.
Come on, buddy. Let's get away from that demonic rock elemental, huh?
Once we got it far enough away and in a safe-ish kind of area, I started shooting it with our fabricated sniper rifle. Put this big mama to sleep, tamed her up, and secured her in one of these soul balls to safely bring her back to base to meet her new boyfriend. The other advantage to these Earth Brontos is once we have a whole bunch of them, we can farm them for their blood as well, so that we can make a bunch of steel ingots. Oh, and say hello to our big green friend here. He's kind of like a tribal version of Shrek. It had also been a little while that it's probably time, yes, that time, to fight a boss. We decided to fight in this little canyon area. A lot of the people in the community have been using this area. It's a pretty decent spot for boss fights. And the first boss that I'm going to fight is the nature boss, which is arguably one of the hardest bosses to fight as it self-heals really quick. I have a pretty decent army of these frost gorillas ready to go, but we have to get them out and level them up, which obviously takes us quite a while. So I wasn't quite prepared to fight this first boss until day 46. But our army of frost gorillas is looking healthy. I mean, look at all these guys. Surely we're going to win this fight. And there's only one way to find out. I had to summon it in. I anxiously waited for this boss boss to summon in, and for some reason decided to throw out some other things to fight with us. This was a risky mistake, but the Nature Colossus summoned in, and my gorillas were getting to work already. All of these gorillas were doing a lot of damage to it, but it was also healing quite rapidly. We got its health down to 6 million health, but a lot of our gorillas were already starting to die. If we stopped continuing to do damage, it would heal up. We continued fighting on, and there was ice spikes going everywhere. Everything was kind of crazy at this moment that I didn't even realize we had actually already defeated the boss. I don't think our gorilla friends realized either. They kept attacking something, and just like that, we had defeated our first boss, the Nature Colossus. I really think the Pokemon system gives us quite the advantage, obviously because we're dealing double damage and receiving half damage as well. But from that, we gain these items: the Nature Boss Skull, which we need to hold on to be able to summon in the Bionic Boss later, and a handful of seeds so we can grow some fruit, which we will need to be able to make Bionic Kibble, and I think some of the other higher tier kibbles as well. Day 46, and we're back at our makeshift boss arena, preparing once again for another boss fight. This time we're getting out all of our volcanic Rexes. We have quite a few since they've been breeding for quite a while, except this one's an imposter. Not really, it's just weak. So I had to sacrifice it, not for no reason. I needed its hide so that I could make a saddle so I could ride one of these volcanic Rexes when we fought this boss. Since we're using volcanic Rexes to fight, obviously we're summoning in the Frost Colossus. I was honestly pretty confident in this fight. We had a whole bunch of fully imprinted Rexes. I didn't think that this guy had a chance against us. But then all of a sudden, this boss punched the ground and killed off a whole bunch of my Rexes. From here on out, a bunch of our Rexes just kept dying one after another. There was only 3 of us left. We had done a ton of damage, but since we've lost so many of our Rexes, maybe we won't win this. Then there was only us left, and the Frost Colossus had 1.6 million health remaining. It was tedious, but we just kept fighting on. The annoying thing is the only hitbox was this leg. So we had to keep following this leg around, and it kept moving occasionally. We were chipping away at its health, but the only thing keeping us alive were these health potions. And after a little bit of time,
There we go. Last hit. Thank you. Come again. Don't fall on my face. You fell on my face.
after defeating that boss, we returned back to base so I could get out a bunch of these nature dodos. I wanted to see what health and stats they got now that they're fully imprinted. Fighting a boss with these guys is certainly going to be interesting. Day 47, I give you one guess on exactly what we're doing today. If you guessed fighting the Earth Colossus with a whole bunch of nature dodos, you guessed correctly.
Oh, it's mutated pink nature dodo.
It's gonna die. We had gotten out our army of nature dodos. I have no idea if this is enough. I was considering using some of the spares of the other dinos that we had, like these volcanic Rexes and the frost gorilla, but in the end I decided not to use them. After all, we're fighting this boss for the memes, and if we win, this will be glorious. I do have my freshly tamed nature Giganotopithecus though, and by freshly tamed I mean it wasn't bred or anything, so it's not imprinted and doesn't have any other special things like that. I will be riding it though, just so we can have a better look at the battlefield. Anyways, enough messing around. It's time to summon in the Earth Colossus. It spawned in, and once it hit the ground, we went into attack. We didn't stand a chance. This didn't even go like half as good as I thought it would. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't have a backup plan. I kind of thought we actually might have won that. As I returned, this Colossus was still killing something. I don't know what though. It wasn't me or any of my dinos. I went to the outskirts of this homemade boss arena, and then I got robbed by a little red rat.
No way, he just took my freaking health potions. Yeah, give it back, you bum.
I had a bunch of random creatures that I don't really need for future fights, and figured I'd just try and use these to try and defeat this boss. Trying to command these Rexes whilst trying to fight this guy was a little bit hard because of the gap in the wall. This gap was keeping us a little bit safe, kinda, but made it hard for us to be able to aim at it to be able to send these other creatures in. 9.7 million health, and we don't have a damage buff. And for the most part, it was only me attacking this thing. Everything else just kept dying. I just had to stay consistent by chewing on its ankles, escaping to heal up, then going back in to try and do as much damage as possible. Our health was rapidly declining, but I wasn't paying enough attention. I tried healing up, but it was too late.
No, didn't make it. Didn't make it. Well, I'll take this. Oh, yeah, damn. I died.
Day 49, we returned back to this Earth Colossus with a few other creatures I had laying around the place. We've still got breeding pairs of some of these creatures, so they're still popping up babies. Hopefully this frost gorilla stands a chance against this beast. Anyways, I led these creatures in and started throwing some ice rocks at this big boss. This frost gorilla is pretty tough, and because we could just spam this rock throwing attack, we managed to do a ton of damage. The creatures that came in with me are all dead now, so I ran out to try and get a few more of them in, but they were stuck.
I think the freaking thing's stuck. I'm so scared to dismount so I can fix this situation. God damn it. I just need you to get out of the way, and then the other should be able to follow. We're back in the fight with some of our gorilla friends. Because of all the special attacks, there's not really much you can look at right now. There's a lot going on the screen. All of our creature friends who were helping us are all dead, so I ran out of the arena where there was one more left. Tried to get him to follow us back in, but this earth boss followed us out. For some reason, I couldn't get this gorilla to do anything. Fight. Why are you just standing there? Go.
It did nothing, and then it died.
You deserve to die then.
I moved a little bit away so I could heal up, and then got the fright of my life.
Wow. Oh, it still hits me? Oh, it got out. How I managed to get out, I'll never know. But I do know the safest place for us right now is inside the boss arena. I got out a few more of these creatures that I had in my inventory and began fighting once again. This time with a few creatures to help us out, made chipping away at his health a little bit easier. They didn't last very long, but it didn't have much health left. I knew my only hope of defeating this thing right now is just a one-on-one battle. Made sure to keep healing myself to stay alive in this fight, and we finally defeated the Earth Colossus after all that time. We did it. We did it. This boss fight was certainly a lot trickier than the previous ones, but I suppose that's what you get for being ill-prepared and trying to fight it with only dodos. But after all, we do represent the Dodo gang. After defeating the Earth Colossus, we roamed around the desert just exploring. That was until we ran into the Celestial Thorny Dragon, and I tried to fight it. DED, dead. I then returned back to base and made a bunch of crop plots. We're going to need to be growing a bunch of these elemental fruits, so I just wanted to be prepared. And of course, I planted this earth seed to get the fruit growing. We need a lot of apex blood just to be able to craft the summoning scrolls for these bosses. And someone told me you can get a crazy amount of apex blood from apex ovises, as long as you use a chainsaw against them. This is what we gathered from one single ovis. Whoever told me that was certainly very correct. I then had a look in our primal bench to see exactly what other resources we needed, and it seemed like we were fine on resources. We could summon in basically any boss we needed right now. Day 50 and somehow our rampway was destroyed and all the ceilings were in my inventory. I don't really know exactly what's going on right now, but I went ahead and fixed it anyways. There we go. It looks a lot better now, standing at attention. I then went through and got out all of our nature dodos. Honestly, I should have brought more of them to the fight. I didn't realize I actually had this much more, but also I knew that they were going to be useful. You see, we can use nature blood to make some pretty special potions. These ones right here, they're aptly called the nature health potion. They're just a little bit better than the red ones that we've been using. And since we were able to restock our potion supply, it's now time to fight our next boss. This time with a whole army of Hydro Rexes. Now, what element is Hydro good against? It's volcanic. If it wasn't obvious, it's volcanic. Because obviously water puts out fire. Come on, guys. We know this stuff. Anyways, just like our previous fights with the army of Rexes, I was pretty confident when taking this guy down. I made sure to heal up the dinosaur that I was riding and just munched on its ankles and did my special attack when I could. Over half of its health is down and our entire Hydro army of Rexes is gone. Honestly, they didn't last very long, but they did a ton of damage before they went down. Unfortunately, it's only a one-on-one right now, so this takes a little bit longer than I'd like. 2.5 million health remaining, 1 million health remaining, 300,000, 150,000, 50,000. And there we have it. We had defeated the volcanic kaiju. I don't know why their names change. Are they a colossus? Are they a kaiju? What are they? Either way, I'm happy. We've defeated 4 out of the 6 elemental bosses. It's day 51 and let's do a quick recap of the bosses that I've currently defeated. So far, we have defeated the nature boss, frost boss, earth boss, and volcanic boss, leaving us only the storm boss and the hydro boss to defeat so we can move on to the bionic tier. Now, I admit I'm not too confident about the storm boss or the hydro boss. The storm boss because we can only fight him with our earth brontos, and the hydro boss, I don't really know if our storm griffins are going to do the job. That's why I'm right here trying to knock out this alpha dodo. I want to try and give ourselves the best opportunity possible to be able to fight these bosses, and if we have an alpha creature near our army, they should give double damage and double defense. Never thought I'd say this, but our fabricated sniper's too good. Oh, did I kill it? Oh shit. My bad. I ended up finding this level 140 alpha compy nearby. This could at least withstand one shot from this fabricated sniper. I didn't have any alpha kibble on me, so I had to race back to base so I could make some quickly. Then as I went to return, the alpha compy had died. Oh, did it die? Oh, what the frick? Where did you come from? Third time lucky. Maybe this compy will survive. One shot, we knocked it out. I had the kibble already prepared, shoved it down its throat, and we secured an alpha compy. I was kind of hoping that with this compy, it would work like a shoulder pet, so that if I'm riding something, it'll give the buff to all the creatures that I'm around me. Instead, me and the community came up with another idea when we found out that didn't work. We're just going to put this alpha compy in a big metal box in the middle of the desert. Pretty sure this is the definition of animal cruelty. Good thing this isn't real and it's just a video game. Next, I started preparing our massive Earth Bronto army. I tried leveling these guys up in peace, but this galley wasn't having none of that. Seriously? Freaking galley? I'm back, so we're summoning in this boss. The big yellow kaiju summoned in, and I slowly stumbled over to try and fight it. It started attacking my Brontos, and then they started fighting too. This was a rather tricky fight, because the Brontos are so damn big, it's hard to see. All I was just trying to do was do my part and attack, and hope that my army was helping. All of these buffs were definitely helping. We had the mate boost buff and the alpha buff as well. With all the electricity buzzing all around us and big Bronto's butts in our face, again, I just couldn't see anything. It all soon cleared up though when the Storm Colossus went down because it was dead. Let's go. Let's go. We did it. There was a few dead Bronto bodies laying around. And of course, I had to take this opportunity to try and score some extra Earth blood. At least now their deaths definitely won't be in vain. We had now defeated the Storm boss. We only have the Hydro boss remaining. I was kind of curious to see exactly what we needed to be able to summon in some of these other bosses like the Godly boss and the Celestial and Demonic bosses. It just seems like you need the skulls from certain bosses to be able to progress forward. After we get this Hydro boss, we are then onto this Bionic boss. I restocked my potions, well, as much as I possibly can, head back to this famous boss fighting arena and start releasing all of these Storm Griffins out.
out. Also, someone in the community wanted to name this alpha compy Chief Chungus. May it help us through this fight. Since this is our last elemental fight, I figured I'd bring out basically everything I had left. Again, I wasn't too confident that our Storm Griffins would hold up in this situation, but maybe, just maybe, all of these other guys could help us out. Our last elemental boss, the Hydro boss, is now summoned in. We have a whole lot of creatures ready to fight. As soon as his feet hit the ground, I whistled all my creatures to go and fight.
Oh, I pressed E.
Crap! I accidentally dismounted, but I got back on just in time. Only for me to have to drop one of these health potions straight away. This Colossus was brutal. It didn't take long, but a big chunk of our army was already dead. I feel like all I'm doing is just healing up, just to try and stay alive in this fight. Moments later, our entire army was gone.
Hydro boss is tough, chat.
All I could do was just sit here and bite at its ankles.
I don't know if this is going to go as well as we'd hoped.
The Hydro boss drains your health quicker because it basically makes your dino drown. I'm literally out of oxygen, so I'm forever just trying to heal up as quick as possible until it gets to the point that I'm just not quick enough. When I respawned, I knew I had to change my strategy up. I didn't really want to, but we're gonna have to tame ourselves this Storm Rex. Obviously, I just want to tame this thing and get straight back to the fight. I already know that this will have a massive advantage against the Hydro boss, but in my panic to try and knock this guy out so quickly, I'd run out of bullets. One quick pit stop back at base to make some more elemental trank bullets, and we're straight back to knock this big boy out. Fed it the required kibble, and fully tamed it. Day 53, we're back down in the desert, but we're not quite in the arena just yet. Firstly, I wanted to run around and kill a bunch of creatures so we can get some quick levels into this Storm Rex. I need to give ourselves the best opportunities possible to be able to defeat this Hydro boss. I managed to put a few levels into this to get our health up and our melee up. Then I just bit the bullet and went in for the attack. We were biting this Hydro Kaiju's ankles for quite a while and healing up regularly. It was still doing quite a bit of damage to us, but thanks to the buff from the Alpha Compy and the fact that we're a Storm versus a Hydro, we were doing quite a bit of damage against it. And even though the Storm Rex was basically drowning this entire time, we weren't losing health as fast as we were before, so it gave us time to heal up. And ultimately, we were patient enough to get the W.
All right, we almost won. We almost won. There we go. There we go, kids. There we go, kids and kidsette. We did it.
With that, we had now defeated the final elemental boss. All I needed to do was plant this final seed and wait for it to grow some fruit before we could make some bionic kibble. Whilst we waited for some fruit to grow, I started hatching a bunch of the spare eggs that we had and began working on some things to try and keep ourselves busy before we'd go tame ourselves a bionic creature. Lucy came over to show us one of her mutated volcanic rexes.
Oh, you're showing me it. Holy crap. Yo, that's sick that the mutations even work on the textures.
I think it's pretty cool that this is colored like this.
That's so dope.
It helps keep up with the immersion. Moving on from here, I went ahead and upgraded my chainsaw. We only made it to journeyman level because we ran out of electronics. I then went out on my Storm Griffin to go and pick up some drops. Feels a little cheesy this way because I wanted to pick up a bunch of these to bring back to our grinder and grind them up for some free resources. Specifically trying to get ourselves some silica pearls and electronics. Obviously so I could upgrade this chainsaw to the ascendant level. Day 55 and we're out in the wilds collecting some more of this apex blood. But this time the main purpose of collecting it was for us to place it into the Primal Forge to create some more of these bronze ingots to make more of these elemental advanced sniper bullets. Also, since we had defeated all of the elemental bosses, we unlocked the ability to be able to make these Titan eggs. And from what I know, we use these to be able to summon our very own tameable version of the bosses. But as you can see, these are really expensive to make. Either way, I plan on making one of them and taming one of these colossal bosses before the end of this 100 days. But before getting onto that, it's now time for us to tame ourselves a bionic creature. Bionic creatures are a little bit rare, and there weren't many on the map that were a high level. This was literally like one of the best ones we could find. And it was kind of exciting considering it wasn't a Rex. I managed to knock out this four-legged robot in between all these rocks, but just as my luck would have it, it was getting bitten by some other creatures. And because I wasn't properly prepared, I hadn't yet made a bionic kibble. I knew I had all the ingredients to make it, so I quickly whipped one up, returned to the enforcer, fed it the kibble, and it tamed up.
Hey, bionic enforcer. We lost a lot of freaking bonus levels though, which is really annoying.
It also doesn't require a saddle to ride it, so we could get straight on its back and start testing this thing out. 12,000 damage. This thing's pretty damn deadly. And it can take a hit as well. I saw a bionic Rex in the distance and thought this would be a good thing to test my might against. It's only a level 20, so surely we'll be able to delete this thing quickly.
Oh, that's not fair. Holy lordy.
Bionics are certainly pretty tough, but as we moved away, we saw this thing in the distance. Also, the other thing is, this might be a level 500, but look at its health. I think it's kind of broken. Initially, I thought to myself, I want to tame this thing. But then I thought, wait.
It kind of means I could kill it.
Although this thing looks freaking amazing, it went down in 3 hits. And we just got ourselves some pretty easy demonic blood and hide. It's in the game, and it is what it is. So it ain't cheating, and it ain't cheesing. Day 56, I brought this demonic blood back to base. I made a whole bunch of demonic narcotics so that I could make some of these demonic advanced sniper bullets. We also had a little bit of bionic blood as well. So we could turn that into bionic advanced sniper bullets. Meaning we have some pretty strong tranquilizers to be able to knock this thing out. My Twitch chat said that the bionic baryonyx would be pretty cool to tame. Again, I was trying to avoid taming a bionic Rex.
Rex. I know it's the meta in this mod, but I thought this would be a fun change and a challenge. This was only a level 85, but its stats look pretty decent, so I just decided to go with it. I managed to knock it out, but when I went to go tame it, something killed me. I quickly respawned, got my Pteranodon out, and started rushing back over to my stuff. I managed to make it back, and it looked like this Storm Terror Bird was trying to attack my Storm Griffin. I managed to feed the Bionic Baryonyx, but once again, I was taken out by the Storm Terror Bird. There was also a timer on my bed, so I had to wait quite a while before I could respawn. But when I finally did respawn, I swapped out the simple bed for the primal bed. It's the same as the normal bed, but it just doesn't have a respawn timer. I also didn't have any flyers handy. Well, none with a saddle on them. So to get back over to my stuff, I jumped off the side of this floating island and started gliding down with my glider suit that I'd made. We had a rather majestic flight back to our stuff, and once we got back, we saw our Storm Griffin and our new Baryonyx killing everything in its vicinity. This Bionic Baryonyx looks pretty wicked, but is it strong enough to carry us through the Bionic tier? I took it down to the ground to test this out. Well, into the water to be specific, and for the most part, this thing's pretty decent. Considering it was a pretty low level tame, I'm pretty happy with how strong this is. Day 57 and we're still out on this Baryonyx having the best time of our lives. I mean, it wasn't too long ago that this mod was absolutely kicking our butts. It's kind of nice to have the upper hand and be able to travel wherever we please without the risk of dying. I wanted to tame some other Bionic creatures, but before that, I decided to change up some stuff in my base, customize it a little bit by adding the steampunk features. Personally, I think this skin looks pretty damn cool, and it's nice to kind of switch up the look of your base. I just kind of wish you could change the ceilings. I'm pretty sure you can't. Or can you? I don't know. Let me know in the comments or something. Anyways, I was live streaming at this point and my chat basically told me I have to get myself a Bionic Rex if I plan on trying to progress any further past the Bionic tier. There was this level 145 on the map, and obviously I have to take this opportunity to try and tame it. But this big mama having 2.4 million torpor, I immediately knew this was going to be difficult. One hit does 100k. That was our demonic bullets, so I guess this is going to kind of help us a little bit. All of a sudden, knocking out this Bionic Rex wasn't so daunting, other than knowing that if I got way too close, it would one-shot me and my Storm Griffin. I made sure to keep my distance and just keep shooting it until this half Rex, half robot went to sleep. Such a hefty lady, it required 2 of these Bionic kibbles to tame. 1.5 million health. This thing's pretty damn strong. Day 58, and I didn't waste any time. It's time for us to tame a mate for the Bionic Rex that we just tamed. Again, like I previously mentioned with other tames, it doesn't really matter about its level because we can just breed the stats in that we desired. Bionic Rexes are rare enough as it is that we kind of just have to take what we can get. We managed to tame this big boy and began breeding this Bionic powerhouse together. Whilst we're waiting for an army of Bionic Rexes to start breeding up, I had to say goodbye to another faithful army of ours. We had a crazy amount of these. They all look like bushes, but they're not. They're dead dodos. And these dead dodos are going to give us enough blood to be able to make more of these nature potions. I was soon reminded that I needed to get myself the Rider Protection trait on one of these Bionic Rexes. Neither one of these Rexes had the trait that we were looking for, so I ran out my big shaft and started flying out into the wilds to see if I could find other Rexes that might have the Rider Protection trait. Obviously, I'm not going to do this just with my glider suit. That would take us way too long. Instead, we took off on our Storm Griffin. This was a long and grueling process, and it felt super grindy and kind of boring sometimes. I would mark basically every Rex on the map. Then I would locate them and have to scan them with this Primal gene scanner. But like I mentioned, apparently to be able to defeat the Bionic boss, we really need this trait, as the Bionic boss can kill the rider off the back of any dino that he's riding. And because it's so strong, he will one-shot us off the back. On day 60, if the Rex didn't have the trait that we wanted, I had to murder them. I needed more to spawn in. My chat and the people in the server were really nagging me to change the mod up as well, because apparently there's another mod that can make seeing traits a lot easier. I tried to hold out and not do this for as long as possible, but in the end I caved in and we added Nano Spyglass. This is a really good Spyglass mod and probably one that I'll change out and use from now on. It works just like the awesome Spyglass, but when you look at things, you can see the traits right here. This certainly made hunting down the traits a lot quicker and easier for us, but man, the Rider Protection trait is extremely rare, or it doesn't exist and my chat's been lying to me. Like, if you haven't noticed, it's already day 61, and all we've been doing for the last 3 days is searching around and trying to find this one single trait on a Rex. But in all this time, our Bionic Rexes have been breeding up like crazy. I think we're gonna have quite the large army. Day 62 and we're still out here searching for this Rider Protection trait. I was kind of getting a little fed up and bored of doing this over and over again, so I went back to base so I could do something a little bit more productive. I went and fetched my trike out of the depot terminal and went out to go harvest some berries, because yes, this is way more fun to me than looking for frickin' Rexes and the Rider Protection trait. I was out here trying to stock up on Tinto berries specifically, so we could make some more medical brew potions. I figured I might as well grow some of these as well, just so we had some passively growing and collecting. So I placed down a crop plot and planted some of these Tinto berry seeds. And to finish this day off, we made a bunch of these potions like I mentioned we were going to do. Day 63, and I've decided I'm not going to worry about getting this Rider Protection trait. After all, we spent so much time looking for the trait that we made a crazy amount of Bionic Rex babies. Like, this is literally all of them. It might be risky, but we've just made the Bionic boss summon, so we're all in. For context, this is how much damage a Bionic Rex does. 42,000 damage per bite is absolutely crazy. But can it stand up against this boss? We'll soon find out. But first, we have to get our
entire army out, which takes us a rather long time, but it was certainly well worth it. This is our army, and I think we're going to be just fine. I just got to make sure the army gets in there and fights, and I stay out of range of the boss's attacks. This big bionic tin man spawned in, and my Rex army went into fight. Everything was going well, but I didn't account for this one thing.
No, I'm frozen. Oh, that's not good.
Because there were so many damage numbers on screen and so many bionic Rexes doing their AoE attack, I think we crashed the entire server. Day 64, we managed to get back in the game, but we were dead. I frantically respawned and began flying over to where we had fought that boss. Upon my arrival, I realized all of the Rexes were still there, but the boss was gone, which indicates to me that all my Rexes beat the boss, but because I wasn't currently there, it didn't count for me, which means I didn't unlock the required engrams to progress any further. It also means I need to craft another one of those boss summoners, and the only way I can craft another one is by fighting all of the previous bosses and gaining their skulls to be able to craft another bionic boss summoner. Out of curiosity, I then checked my engrams and I saw that I'm gonna need some cooked jerky eventually for the celestial and demonic kibbles. And because I know that takes quite a while to make, I crafted and placed down a preserving bin so we can start cooking that up. Next, we're back in the desert with a single bionic Rex where I could summon the apex boss and fight it one-on-one. I kind of suspected because we're at the bionic tier, we would be able to defeat most of these bosses rather quickly. And I was right, this apex boss bent over faster than one of Diddy's friends. But now we need to go and defeat all 6 of the elemental bosses all over again. I was able to make a few of these boss summons, but we soon ran out of apex blood. That's okay though, because these apex brontos are full of apex blood, and we love to go full Texas Chainsaw Massacre on their bodies. I'm back at this part of the desert. I kind of like this area as a boss fighting arena. I know we have the other one, but it's nice to have a different change of scenery. I brought one single other bionic Rex with us to help us with these fights, just in case things got a little bit sticky. Firstly, I summoned in the Storm Colossus, and the best thing about this is, although we don't have like a damage bonus against it, the bionic Rex's normal bite does a ton of damage, but then when you pair it with its ultimate move, it absolutely melts the health off of these colossal bosses. We beat our first elemental boss.
Oh, my freaking thing died.
And yeah, my bionic Rex died. Anyways, I then summoned in the Nature Colossus, accidentally dismounted once again, and died. I returned back to my place of death, and this member of our community picked up the skull and seeds for me. I then returned back to our favorite boss fighting arena so we could fight the remaining bosses, starting with the volcanic boss, then the earth boss. Next, we fought the hydro boss, but when we defeated these 3, their bodies wouldn't despawn. Well, not straight away, that is. So we had to kind of wait around a little bit, but this was still interesting to look at, I guess. Then next, we fought the Frost Boss, who melted quicker than Michael Jackson's nose in the summer. Day 65, and we've beaten all the previous bosses so quickly that we can now summon in the Bionic Boss. So back at our new boss fighting arena area, I once again release a whole new army of Bionic Rexes, but this time I try my best not to overcrowd it, so we hopefully don't lag up the server again and crash. But I think we have a rather humble amount of Rexes here, don't you? Anyways, the Bionic Boss summoned in, and once again, I made sure to stay at a safe distance. But my Twitch chat was telling me if I was too far away, I wouldn't pick up the engrams that you get from defeating this boss. It was a little bit laggy fighting this guy, but it was also kind of overwhelming. Like, we defeated it just like that. I didn't even realize. With the boss sticking around, I had to take this moment to get this shot. I don't know. Kind of looks cool. It's the first time I've seen a proper custom built boss in one of these mods, and I think this looks pretty damn cool. With all that said and done, we've now moved into the celestial and demonic tier, but it's not quite as simple as just making the kibble to be able to tame these guys, because the kibble requires one ingredient that I don't even know how to make just yet: demonic honey and celestial honey. And to make that, we need celestial and demonic rare flowers that we feed to a beehive that will then make the honey. Look, it's a whole ass process, but we need to get started on it straight away if we want to be able to tame ourselves one of these creatures. Basically, the strategy is we need to find and kill one of these celestial or demonic queen bees. They will then drop a little bit of honey that we'll get so we can make a kibble that will then go back to one of these celestial demonic queen bees and tame them, and then turn them into whichever beehive that could then produce us the honey so we can continue to make some more kibble. Only thing is, we have to try and kill one of these queen bees, which is easier said than done. I did come up with a rather ingenious plan to be able to do this though. They're really strong, so they'll probably kill us unless I knock it out. And when we finally put this thing to sleep, we can live out every predator's dream. Except I ran into a problem. I kind of ran out of bullets. I can fix this real quickly though. Thanks to my Twitch chat, they let me on a little secret. Currently at this point in the game, in this particular mod, Celestial Giganotoraptors, they don't use their ultimate attack, which would typically just annihilate me. But even though their normal attack does quite a bit of damage, we can handle the heat. Also, this half raptor, half chicken has a ton of health. So this took us a little longer than I thought it would, but after a good chunk of time, we took out this raptor chicken, we chainsawed it, and gained a whole lot of celestial blood. Returned back to base, and we made a whole lot of these celestial advanced sniper bullets. We then returned to the bee that we were trying to knock out earlier, and its torpor had dropped a little bit, but it still had 1.5 million, so we could just continue on from there. We had to use a whole lot of these celestial bullets, but eventually we knocked this queen bee out. That should be it. That should do it. That should do it. Go down.
Go down.
Now I just had to do some sus things to it while it slept and put it out of its misery before it woke up and could tell anybody. But we did manage to get the honey we wanted. After killing one, you also unlock the engram to make the celestial rare flowers. Next, we went to go hunt down a demonic celestial queen bee and repeat the process of knocking this queen bee out and let my Rex chew on its butt. Killed it, gained the honey that we required, and unlocked the engram that we needed as well. Now we need to return back to base and whip out our culinary skills so we can make some of these kibbles. I quickly realized I was lacking in the jerky department, but thankfully I was streaming live on Twitch and they told me that the CS Industrial Grill can also make meat jerky quicker than the preserving bin can. Now this solved that problem, but we also had another problem. We also needed the blood of either a celestial or demonic creature to be able to make the kibble. So once again, we returned to this Giganotoraptor, pushed it all the way into a corner, started chewing on its drumsticks and carving up its insides to get its blood. It's now day 67 and we can make this demonic kibble. We couldn't make celestial kibble right now because celestial kibble requires demonic blood and we don't have the means to kill any demonic creatures right now. So now we return back out to the wilds and tame our very first demonic queen bee. Once I finally knocked this queen bee out, I fed it some kibble, but because we're in the later stages of this game, it took a little longer than I expected to be able to actually tame up. We waited quite a while. Quick fast forward and the demonic queen bee was fully tamed. I didn't turn it into a beehive right away because I noticed when I walked up to it, it said I could ride it. This was a pretty cool little feature. In the future, I might actually use it as a proper fighter. But for now, we need to turn it into a beehive. We've got actual work to do. Next, I had to go to our primal cauldron, feed it some rare flowers and demonic blood so I can make some of these demonic rare flowers. Then feed the demonic rare flowers to the beehive and it will then make us some demonic honey. Now we can make a bunch of demonic kibble. Sorry, let me rephrase. I can only make one. We don't have enough meat jerky right now. Psych, we have enough now. Well, I can make 2. It's now time for us to go out and try and tame something in the demonic tier. But to give ourselves the best chance possible, I wanted to upgrade our fabricated sniper rifle as much as I could with the resources that I currently had. We managed to get it to 607%, which is actually pretty decent for what it is, and began the hunt to tame our first demonic creature. Obviously, we settled on trying to tame this demonic griffin. Griffins are obviously and easily one of the best tames in these kind of playthroughs, as they open up a door to be able to tame other creatures easily. But I would dare imagine that a demonic griffin is extremely overpowered. We just got to try and successfully knock this thing out without getting within range for it to be able to hit us. There we go. Out of bullets. We also got to manage our bullet problem as well. Even with our upgraded fabricated sniper rifle and celestial bullets, knocking out demonic griffins is pretty tough. After all, this has 7.2 million torpor. I don't currently have enough celestial blood to make more celestial bullets, so now I'm currently just relying on bionic bullets and elemental bullets. Not using celestial bullets has made this take a lot longer than I'd hoped. But thankfully, we can skip past the painful, boring shooting, and we could knock out the demonic griffin. As it fell, I went and shot this Rex that was close by, and somehow it tamed up. Wait, I didn't mean to tame that. Oh, must have... Oh, it's because it was eating. Because it ate, it had meat in its inventory, so it tamed. Let's see. I then fed this griffin some demonic kibble, and it was immediately tamed up. Yo, chill, bro. Once she woke up, she was kind of a little bit aggressive. Was that really necessary? Also, my chat decided to name this demonic griffin Malforos. I have no idea what that means, and if you do, let me know in the comments below. Next, I went ahead and put this Rex in one of these soul balls. I'm never going to use it, but hey, I mean, we've got it. Now, what we've all been waiting for, how strong is this big bird? Okay, special attack does the work. It's pretty exciting having this kind of power, but I need to get to work. We've run out of celestial blood, and now we have a creature that can easily get us a whole bunch of it. I hope. Most demonic creatures have an ability that just does damage over time, and 10,000 per tick is pretty dangerous. As long as any creature stands within that fire, it'll die quickly. Oh, that was stupid of me. That was stupid of me. Oh my god. Yes, I've quickly learned that harvesting stuff from the creature gives us significantly less resources than I'd like. So now when we kill creatures and we need to harvest their blood or hide, it's always way better to do it with our chainsaw. So basically for the rest of this day, we just hunted down celestial creatures, used our evil demonic bird to kill them, and extract their blood so we can make some more celestial bullets so we could continue taming some strong creatures. Day 69, aka the funny number day. I had gathered enough demonic blood so I can make myself a celestial kibble. And I also had enough celestial blood to make this many celestial bullets. Which, if it wasn't obvious, it's now time for us to go and tame ourselves a celestial queen bee. Celestial bee knocked out, then tamed. I brought it straight back to base to make the beehive. I was then invited to go and check out Mr. Pineapple's base. He asked me to come over, so I expected something great.
I'm over to see Pineapple's base.
It was a fancy box.
I see what he's done. He's made a box, but fancy.
Before going and trying to find a celestial to tame, I took down this demonic wyvern so I could collect some more blood and hide. But even though we're far into this game, I'm still not invincible as a person. Anyways, later that day, I found the perfect celestial creature to tame. Oh, not this thing. I was taking this thing out so I could collect some more blood. Riding this demonic creature makes me feel kind of evil. It gives me kind of serial killer vibes. In the end, I did find a couple perfect celestial creatures to tame. There was 2 really high level celestial ARKs together, male and female. Now just think about it. If we can breed these guys together and they can produce a whole bunch of eggs, we're pretty much going to have unlimited celestial blood. Maybe we'll just tame random stuff as well. I don't know. These angelic pigeons we brought back to base. I placed them on a hitching post and they can make sinful love. It's now day 70 and we're making some pretty decent progress. I was flying around our floating islands and I saw my neighbor have one of these things. He had his own elemental boss. I began to realize that we're pretty close on finishing this playthrough and it's still early in this 100 days. So with that, I thought to myself, maybe I want to tame myself one or a couple of them elemental bosses. First things first though, I actually need to kill one of the wandering bosses. You see, you might have noticed earlier, but these Colossus younglings wander around the map, and I need to defeat one of them and take its heart so that I can summon one in and then tame it myself. Now, it has a ton of health, but we're at the demonic tier right now, and our ultimate attack is absolutely melting this beast. Literally, this youngling didn't stand a chance at all. And after killing the youngling, we got the volcanic heart, but before I could summon in my very own boss that I could tame, I need to gather a whole bunch of other resources, which we will get to eventually. Right now, I need to kill off some angelic pigeons. These guys are basically Jesus, sacrificing themselves for the greater good. I will harvest their blood and put it to work. Kind of crazy that the celestial blood is the best blood to help us enslave other creatures. You'd think it'd be the demonics, wouldn't you? I'm running a little bit low on steel, so we went out to go hunt down a whole bunch of rock elementals. Not sure if I mentioned this earlier, but the best tactic to gather some nickel from these guys is to let them summon in their minions, because you can harvest their minions for nickel as well. Ideally, I'd like to stock up on enough nickel to see us through to the end of this playthrough. Day 71 and we're still smacking around some of these rock elementals. But after we had a little bit of fun smashing some of these rocks, I returned back to base so I could start smelting up some more steel. Next, I had decided that I wanted to get all the resources together so that I could get my very own volcanic elemental boss. I was considering trying to tame every single elemental boss, but these are just so damn expensive to make. Hold that thought, I had to do a quick side quest before we began trying to get ourselves one of these elemental bosses. I went to go hunt and kill a bunch of Carcanosis. I wasn't picky, just as many as we could kill so we could collect their polymer. It was about time we tried our best to max out this fabricated sniper. Okay, back to getting all the resources we need to be able to summon in our very own elemental boss. Basically, I need to make a whole bunch of this Pacific sushi. We've got the kelp and rice, we just need to get ourselves some Pacific prime fish meat, which at first I just assumed you could get from any creature that had Pacific in its name. I was wrong. Apparently it needs to be like a stronger version of that, but still needs to have Pacific in its name. We did find this Atlantic Dinosuchus, and I wanted to test to see if this would drop it. Yeah, the Dinosuchuses. Yeah, these guys drop it. Well, that answered that. Now we just need to find ourselves the Pacific version and harvest it for its prime meat. There was this Hydro Colossus youngling here as well, and we're super overpowered right now, so I decided to take its butt down. Wait, is it broken again? Yeah, sometimes they're kind of broken and they won't fight back. Kind of like the guests that go and visit Epstein's Island. Anyways, we're now back at base making some sushi, specifically the Pacific kind. Day 72 and I got a little bit distracted on our main plan. Basically, I'm getting real sick of these creatures just sinking into the island, so I need more space. Also, I made a refrigerator so that all the things that spoil really quickly can not spoil really quickly. Next, instead of getting some more resources so I could get this elemental boss, I went to go tame another demonic griffin. There was a max level male right near our base, so I had to take this opportunity. And at least this way we can start breeding these guys. Then we can make babies that are fully imprinted and way stronger than what we already have. Also, I figured this would be better time management because whilst these demonic griffins are breeding, I could ride on one of my celestial ARKs and continue gathering resources so I can craft my own elemental boss. We don't quite have enough sushi just yet, and who doesn't like the sound of eating some raw crocodile prime meat? As an Australian, that sounds kind of gross, and I don't think Uncle Steve would approve. Now, because this prime meat doesn't stack, I had to craft a whole other primal cauldron just to make it a little bit easier to make this sushi. I then got this big egg out once again to confirm what other resources I needed. Basically, I need a whole lot of these apex feathers that you can get from any apex bird, dodo or argentavis. Then I needed the particular skull of the elemental boss I'm trying to tame. Now, to get that, I need to summon in and kill the apex boss, which will then give me access to be able to summon in the elemental bosses. And just for the memes, I thought I'd try and fight two at once, the Hydro and the Volcanic. The Hydro boss went down immediately, like it didn't last long at all. The Volcanic, on the other hand, lasted a little bit longer, but ultimately met its demise rather quickly. Day 74, I craft up the Volcanic kibble that's required to summon in this boss, check to see if we're missing anything else, and yes, we're missing some earth blood. Luckily, we basically have this on tap. Final check to see if we had absolutely everything we needed. Hey, we've got everything. Now, I wasn't about to summon this in right next to my base. Instead, I'll do it just below it, because once you finally summon this thing in, it doesn't summon in tamed. You actually have to knock it out. We're already miles ahead in our progression, so knocking this thing out wasn't too difficult. Although 600,000 torpor is a lot, it's really not for us right now. Go down and go. We then encountered a rather funny glitch though.
But I love these ARK bugs. This did cause a little issue though. I couldn't quite access its inventory. Well, not until we could find that sweet spot. Now we have tamed our very own volcanic colossus whelpling. Taming this volcanic colossus was a pretty epic achievement and a fun little side quest. Obviously, I was pretty curious to see its strength. And in my initial review, I hate the way the camera looks. It just seems so low on the screen. But he does hit pretty hard for an elemental tier creature. And I was pretty confident going through this. Oh shoot. That's a demonic rock elemental. Okay, I wasn't that confident when I saw that. That thing would absolutely destroy us. In other news, I can actually tame this demonic rock elemental. Will this work? Oh! The bullets work on this thing. Yeah, surprisingly, bullets work against it. And even with its 9 million torpor, thanks to us basically having an endless supply of celestial blood, I was able to put this big black charcoal rock to sleep, feed it some demonic kibble. Wait, what? It needs 3? Yeah, I made the mistake of only feeding it 2 kibble. This kind of messed us up moving forward because I had made a couple more kibble, but when I returned, its taming effectiveness had dropped so low that when I fed it with the kibble that I currently had, that it wasn't enough for it to fully tame up. So I had to go back to base once again and make even more kibble to make up for my mistakes. This time we returned quick enough that we were able to tame it up. And guys, what do you think I had to name this guy? Like, it's just an obvious choice, isn't it? Obviously, it's Dwayne Johnson because he's The Rock. You get it? Now, we can't have Dwayne Johnson here on our island without his best friend, Kevin Hart. Surely you guys remember at the start of this video, Kevin Hart, the Moss Chops? Well, now we have Kevin Hart and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Or is this guy more of a Kevin Hart lookalike? I don't know. But I'll leave that up to you guys in the comment section. Who is Kevin Hart, the Moss Chops or the Mesopithecus? It's day 76 and I'm out here taming some queen bees once again. For some reason, the demonic and the celestial beehive don't stick around once you place them in your base. I had logged off for a day and then when I returned, the beehives were gone. It's not too big of a deal, but it's kind of a pain in the butt to have to tame these guys all over again. Like, them just despawning after a while is kind of annoying. There should be a way to prevent that. But for now, I think our plan of attack is to get these beehives to produce enough honey to last us through to the end of this playthrough. We have plenty of rare flowers to be able to make the honey. We just now need to gather enough celestial and demonic blood. We can collect a lot of the celestial blood from the ARKs, but we ran into a problem when I tried to kill off this demonic griffin. Hold on a second. What happened to my griffins? I heard about that. Someone else said that the griffins would just disappear. Bro, the griffin just disappeared. I can't even like harvest his body. I had a little bit of demonic blood on me anyway, so we could make the flowers, which I then used to turn into honey. And the celestial blood, obviously we could make that. And we made a whole bunch of celestial honey, then made sure to place it in the refrigerator so it wouldn't spoil. Now we shouldn't have too much of an issue making the celestial and demonic kibble and can head out to tame anything that we wanted, like the celestial Pegasus. I've been told that the Pegasus isn't really that good, but I just really want to tame one just because it's a freaking Pegasus. When you play overhaul mods like this, the cool and unique creatures just are pretty fun to tame. Like, dude, we now have a Pegasus. That's freaking amazing. Day 77, I once again extended this foundation area. There's so many creatures out here right now that we just need a little bit of extra space. Then next we went to go and tame this demonic parasaur. I thought this might be a good demonic addition, maybe for boss fights, and we can find it a partner that we can also tame so we can breed them together for some pretty strong parasaurs, but also so we could sacrifice them to get some demonic blood since the demonic griffins don't work. Later in the day, once we had our first baby, I sacrificed this parasaur to test to see if it worked, and this demonic parasaur died gracefully. And I immediately used that blood to make some rare flowers that we could then turn into honey. We're pretty well stocked up on honey, and I don't think we're going to need much more than this if we want to continue on. Like, we're pretty much ready to fight the demonic and the celestial boss. Firstly, I wanted to get acquainted with the parasaur's power. Also, my stream chat wanted to name one of them. Let me introduce you to our good friend, Alfred. Alfred's a little bit of a beast. I mean, 119,000 damage per hit. He's pretty strong. Then I saw this godly Triceratops, and I knew straight away that this was going to be the perfect test for Alfred's strength. I approached this golden trike's butt and started burning it alive. Then things got kind of chaotic. All these special attacks kind of go wild on the screen. But as soon as I started laying down my ultimate attack, the godly Triceratops didn't stand a chance. Hey, demonic parasaur for the win. I felt pretty invincible. After the fun was done, I put Alfred away, looked over, and I saw there was a freaking elemental boss right there. Oh. I thought that was someone like coming up trolling. It's actually a wild one. Oh shit. I then ran as fast as possible to see if I could make my escape. Got stuck amongst these cactuses, but somehow the volcanic youngling got distracted and wasn't interested in me anymore. I was able to make my escape. Back at base, I went ahead and made myself the demonic and the celestial boss summoner. Then went to the depot terminal and collected an army of celestial and demonic creatures. Then flew out to the desert to try and find the perfect place to have a boss fight. I chose this area, which is kind of close to where we started next to the desert city. We have a whole lot of these celestial ARKs, so we kind of went with these guys mainly. Then we summoned in our first boss,
the Celestial Hydra Lord. This multi-headed snake hits hard, and with 96 million health, this was going to be a bit of a sticky one. I made sure to keep my Parasaur's health up, and for some reason, the RGs weren't doing a single thing. I tried whistling for them to start attacking, but they wouldn't get into the fight, and they just started dying. I later on learned that bosses have an ability to ground flyers, which also seems to make them unable to attack. All of our Celestial Pigeons died, so now it was just a one-on-one fight against this Hydra Lord. I spammed Alfred's ultimate attack, which started munching at this Hydra Lord's health, but this Hydra Lord was fiercely attacking. I was healing as quick as possible, but ultimately...
Oh, we're gonna die? We might die. Oh, we died.
I returned back to the Hydra Dragon, but this time I brought 2 Parasaur friends. And somehow its health was rapidly dropping. By the time I actually got to it, it had died. I think the Celestial RGs were actually attacking in the end. Weird situation, but we did defeat it in the end, so yeah, I guess that's good. Well, with the Celestial boss defeated, I guess it's time to summon in the Demonic boss. Our Parasaurs went in and started munching away at its health. Our Celestial RGs, again, did nothing.
I love not being able to see a single thing. What an amazing visual experience this is.
I couldn't watch the fight, but I could see the Demonic Lord's health dropping rapidly.
Can't lie, that was kind of underwhelming.
Very underwhelming fight, but hey, we got the W and that's all that matters. Day 79, and to break things up a little bit, we were invited over to Lucy's place to check out her base. It was a little bit dark, so I asked my admin to turn it into the daytime.
There we go. What a pretty lovely day.
This is Lucy's base. Apparently it's supposed to be a love heart. Although not very love hearty, it is very practical inside, I guess. Next, if you haven't clocked on, we're up to the godly tier. So I'm going out to tame my first godly creature. Obviously, my first choice has to be the godly Triceratops. 1.2 million torpor isn't really a lot, and it made knocking this Triceratops out really easy. But there is a little catch when you're trying to tame these guys. Even with our boosted rates on the server, it takes quite a long time for them to eat the kibble and tame up. We waited around here for quite a while to try and keep it safe, but ultimately got a little bored and figured while we wait, we might as well go and tame another godly creature. You see, there's 4 types of godly creatures currently in this game. The Triceratops, the Armored Tiger, the Godly Crab, and the Godly Broodmother. At this point, I had one goal. I wanted to tame all 4 godly creatures and use only them to fight the final boss, the godly boss they call Nemesis. Fortunately, knocking these guys out was pretty simple, and we had grinded up so many resources earlier that making the godly kibble wasn't too difficult. It was the aimlessly waiting for them to tame up. That was the part that was a bit difficult and boring. I was then told that these loot bosses around the world can give us a chest that can also give us some tame helpers to obviously speed up the taming process. So I came out to kill and destroy this one, then try and get the loot off of it, only to be destroyed by an alpha sabertooth. I returned, but once again, we got stuck inside this alpha loot boss. Ran around like a madman stuck in this thing. Not only did we not get anything from it, I was completely stuck, and we can't destroy the body, so we're just gonna have to wait. Except Pineapples came over and he gave me a little hand.
Thanks.
He took it off my hands and I just left him to it. After all, our godly Triceratops was fully tamed up and I was just way too excited. I had to come check this guy out.
Got a godly trike, baby. Man's looks beefy.
Our Armored Tiger, though, it was taking a little bit longer. So with that, we went out to go and hunt down this godly broodmother. Try and tame this one. I approached it, started shooting it to start knocking it out. You know, typical textbook taming style. But out of the blue, this volcanic Colossus youngling came in and destroyed everything. Because it was in my way, I decided to kill it. But in my destruction, I accidentally killed the godly broodmother as well.
Stupid broodmother. And I'm stuck inside the body of this freaking thing.
Gotta love how you can't destroy bodies in this mod. Day 80, we returned to the godly Armored Tiger and just waited and waited and waited until this.
Done. Done. Oh my god.
Honestly, this is probably my most exciting tame. I just think this thing looks freaking wicked. Like this Armored Tiger and the godly Triceratops next to each other.
That's pretty badass. It's pretty badass.
Indeed, this is pretty badass. But for being endgame creatures, are they strong? This is the most important question, really. Perfect test is this Hydro Youngling. Drop the ultimate attack, and it's already down 2 million health just like that. We're doing 183,000 damage per bite, which admittedly some of my demonic creatures were doing more. But it's the ultimate attack that comes in clutch. Like you see that health? It's non-existent. It's dead. We had killed enough time so another godly broodmother could spawn in. As far as I know, only one of each godly creature can be on the map at a time. Thankfully, this broodmother spawned in. We haven't been able to see a godly crab spawn in at all, though. Either way, we knocked out this godly queen broodmother, but ran into a problem when we actually wanted to try and feed it. The way that it knocked out, it was too high for us to be able to reach its inventory. I tried some creative ways to be able to access this inventory, but somehow couldn't reach it. It's now the early morning of day 81, and we're still trying to figure out a way to actually tame this queen broodmother. I try using my griffin to fly up close enough, but I can't open its inventory. I try standing on my griffin's head to try and access the inventory that way. That doesn't work either. I managed to dismount and land on the body of the broodmother, but once again, I couldn't get in its inventory again.
Like, where am I supposed to be, dude?
This was also a pretty sketchy sight.
Bro, I couldn't ever do this in real life. Ain't no way. Like, this spider here is only a little bit bigger than the ones we have here in Australia. My chat then decided that I should place down some foundations and build a ladder up to it. But even doing this was a little bit tricky because it was in the water. And also the noises that were being made were creepy.
Just me, are these noises just weird?
I eventually started climbing the ladder, made it all the way to the butt of this broodmother. And we were able to feed it.
We got it. We got it. I don't know how or what or freaking whatever, but we got it.
While waiting for the broodmother to eat, I checked to see if there was any other godlies on the map, specifically the crab, and the crab was missing. I really wanted to desperately tame this godly king crab, and thought maybe if I go around the world killing off carcanoses, it might give it a better chance to be able to spawn in. I was then told by my Twitch chat that apparently the godly crab doesn't share a spawn with the carcanos on this map, so most of this was a waste of time. In the end, not really, because whilst we're doing all of that, it gave time for the godly queen broodmother to eat its kibble and tame up. Day 82, and I think it's just about time that we summon in the godly boss. I'm just missing a couple resources, celestial blood and demonic blood. Okay, now I can create the godly boss summon. I know I didn't get a chance to tame the godly crab, but I wasn't about to just sit around and wait for it to spawn in. It's about time that we finish off this mod and defeat the final boss. I really like this location for a boss fight. The pyramid scenery is kind of nice. I then went ahead and got out all 3 of my godly creatures, the broodmother, the armored tiger, and our godly triceratops, and knew straight away that this was going to be a fierce and fun fight. Could these 3 creatures stand up against the godly boss? There's only really one way to find out: by fighting him, Nemesis, the godly guardian. This boss has 1.7 billion health.
1.7 billion?
Yes, that's what I said. But 3 godly creatures were smacking this boy around. The godly boss seemed stunned harder than a virgin in a brothel. We were doing some damage. Also, I learned that you can put the health potions in your hotbar and heal up yourself and the dino that way. This mechanic is super OP, especially when you have 3 variations of potions that all work separately. Our godly queen broodmother went down, but we've knocked out a big chunk of this boss's health. We finally got it under 1 billion health, and we're just chipping away at it. I then run away to get myself a little bit of distance so I could regather myself. I look back and noticed the triceratops went down as well, and then went into photo mode to have a good look at this boss. I realized that he doesn't actually chase you down or move or anything. Looks like I have to go into him and engage in this fight myself. This fight quickly became kind of underwhelming as I realized I wasn't about to lose this. The immense power of the armored tiger and having 3 separate health potions was a massive advantage for us. 270 million health left, 100 million health left, and it's dropping rapidly. 50 million, 40 million, and I decided to run away and run around this thing because obviously it just stands still. Might as well try and take a thumbnail while I'm at it. Okay, let's get back into this fight and finish this off.
Final boss fight. What an epic conclusion.
We win.
It's dead.
Certainly for an end fight, that was kind of underwhelming. But guys, please remember, this is the early days of this mod and it'll change and update over time. Probably by the time you're watching this video, there'll be a lot of different changes. But guys, yes, that is the end of this video. I know it's still only day 82. We didn't quite make it to day 100, but there's still so much content yet to be added to this mod. Thank you so much for watching this video. Shout out to all of my YouTube members, Twitch subscribers, Patreon members, everybody that supports me. I love you. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe button. And until next time, peace. Oh, you're still here? Make sure you hit this button right here and watch another video. Go on, go watch this other video right now. Go, enjoy it. Yeah, you'll love it. Trust me.